Misfit Toys.
Aptitude, expertise, genius, gift.
I'm the fucking talent.
Hey, what's happening, Mike Schmidt, 40-year-old boy podcast. I hit it hard there. I didn't mean to. I'm learning levels. I'm still learning levels. Here's what I think. All right, first of all, we're late. We are totally late. A week late, quite frankly. Not really a week. We're 6 days late. You know, I'm not 7 days late. A week would be out of the question. A week would be ridiculous. But if you're 6 days late, you can kind of go, well, you know, this is the thing. And everything got fouled up on our way to the bingo parlor. Shut up, John Candy. Okay, sir. But we're late, clearly. And I say to you, I'm sorry, and I apologize, and I wish I weren't late. I will tell you this, though. I'm going to give you the honest scuttlebutt. I'm going to give you the skinny. You want the skinny? Who's looking for the skinny? I think you are. Are you looking for the skinny? First of all, can you hear me? That's very important. I'm wondering if you can hear me. Check. Check, baby, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, baby, 1, 2, 3. Check, baby, 1, 2. Check, baby, 1. Now, look, I'm not the rump shaker. Maybe I'm a mic shaker. Maybe I'm just a podcaster. Who knows what I am, really, at my core? Peel me. I'm an onion. But I'm making sure that you can hear me, and I'm making sure that the microphone works, because again, I'm learning all about levels. I'm relearning things. I'm going to be bogged down with this for my entire career, and I put career in quotation marks. Please don't kid yourselves. The first podcast I ever did, I was on with the lovely and talented James Pardo and Matthew Belknap, and we spent the entire first episode talking about the microphone and the fucking soundboard because we're ridiculous. But now, here we are, 16 years later? Something like that. And sure enough, guess what? Your man is still going to the microphone and can't figure the shit out. And it's a grim time in my life and yours. That's right. I'm folding you in. It's not just me. I'm not going down with the ship. I'm not accepting this myself. By the way, speaking of that, there's a song that I had forgotten from my youth, and my youth would be my 20s. And it's called, it's by a band called Scatterbrain. And it's called I'm Not Going Down with the Ship. Do you remember this song? If you haven't, Google it. It's very weird because it has sections of Zeppelin and sections of Metallica all mixed in within the song. And I think you know that I'm a sucker for that. Like I like mash 'em ups, as you know. But if I hear a song and it plays a riff that's from another song that's a recognizable riff, you've got me. Hands up. Like you're holding up a bank in the Old West. I'll throw my hands in the air and perhaps I'll wave them like I just don't care. Unless you tell me not to, you're the one holding the gun. So I don't know, man. There's a song Scatterbrain called I'm Not Going Down with the Ship. And I'm not just doing that. That's in the fucking song. Google it. Look up Scatterbrain. And while you're doing it, look up Whale and the song Hobo Humpin' Slowbo Babe. Oh my Christ. That came back into my life about 6 months ago. Someone mentioned it in Facebook and I forgot about it. And then I remembered again to put it on Spotify. And you hobo humpin' slowbo babe. And it's the video is one of those pedophile specials where the lead singer is a woman, but she has braces, so she looks like she might be a lot younger, and they dress her in like kind of wacky clothes. Very much like in Black Hole Sun, the video for Black Hole Sun, when there's that poor little girl, and then she basically rubs ice cream all over her face in what looks like a frozen bukkake scene. And I know you're thinking to yourself, Mike, what's wrong with you? And I'm going to say I agree. I must say I agree with you. But when you watch that video, the Black Hole Sun video, because there's that girl prancing around in the bikini, and then the poor little girl, and she got the ice cream cone, and then Hobo Humpin' Slowbo Baby got the whale chick with her fucking braces on. And look, they're trying to evoke. I'm saying I'm laying it on the line. I've been evoked. I don't mean to evoke. I've been evoked by those videos in particular, and I'm sure there's many others that I could think of. But yeah, so go ahead and look those up and look up Scatterbrain. I don't know if they had a video. Did Scatterbrain have a video? Why am I asking you? You didn't know who they were until 5 seconds ago when I mentioned their name. But Scatterbrain, yeah, they had the song, I'm Not Going Down with the Ship. I don't even know where the fuck that came up. But I'm here with you now, and we're checking all of the microphones and making sure that everything works, because last week, again, we're late, as I mentioned, 6 weeks in the hole, or 6 days in the hole, I should say. We were here last week. I fucking did a show last week, all right? And you're going to be like, whatever, Mike, we didn't fucking hear it. Yeah, because you know why? Here's why. I recorded a show, and look, I'm not going to lie to you. I was fucking hilarious, as I often think I am. Now, look, I recognize that a lot of you out there probably don't think I'm hilarious, and you certainly don't think I'm as funny as I think I am, because I think to myself, man, you are handsome, charming, and loved, and also, goddamn, are you a funny motherfucker. I think that about myself often, and then I'll say, you're not, and then I run away from a microphone and I don't do a show because I'm a weirdo. But last week, that was not the case. Last week, I sat down, and goddamn, I'm yawning. I don't mean to yawn on you. That's not me being bored with my own voice, because that couldn't possibly happen, because I love my own voice. If it was physical, I'd fuck it. What I'm telling you is that I did a show last week. I sat down to record, and look, I know what I'm doing. I know you don't think I do. I know you think to yourself, well, Mike is clearly stepping in it now. There's all sorts of rakes and bear traps in Mike's house, and he's stomping on all of them and fucking up the program. That's not the case at all. I can sit down, I can plug in a microphone, I can hit record, and then here we go. We're off and running. And with the Audacity, I got to set the levels. One of the levels I set today, because here's another thing. I don't even know about the levels anymore. Well, I know about the levels, but because, I record with Lily, our friend Lily, who will make an appearance later in the show. When I record with her, it's done through her Zoom. So I don't have to do fuck all. I mean, I just got the microphone, I plug it in, I put in my earbuds, and we zoom off into the fucking stratosphere as I talk about whatever the fuck comes into my head, as you know. But I also don't have to look at levels. Like when I set up the Audacity here, it's done this thing now, and I think my Audacity is sentient. I'm not going to lie. I think it has a mind of its own now. And I think it punished me last week, because Audacity, when I open it now, the recording level will often be down at like 11 or 12. Like it resets the recording level, which I don't understand. And what that does is it cuts down on clearly whatever I'm able to record to you guys. It's super low, so I've got to change it, whatever. So I bump it up, and I'll go to like 65 or 70. And you know what I settled on today? 69. That's right. We're recording at 69 today. And I know what you just did. You blurted out inadvertently. You blurted out nice. And I can't blame you. Are you 69 people? I don't know if I should. Am I wasting this on you? Are you 69 people? Should I ask? Are you all comfortable with me at level 69? And I'm going to put this monkey in the wrench. I'm going to tell you this. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a 69 guy. I wouldn't say that's the case. I mean, certainly as a recording level, we'll see if it goes ahead and lives up to all the hype. But as far as the regular, I'm more of a. What would I say I am? I'm more of a 7. I'm more of a 7. I'm the straight line, and you can be the other straight line, standing straight up in the air, and I'll just grab your fucking thighs and pull you as hard into my face as I possibly can. How about that? Would that be good? And then you can, and also if you want, I mean, I'll give you a show too. That's what I'll do. I get a free hand, so I'll hold you. You can fucking sit down and relax, and then just take in a fucking show, and we'll see who gets there first. That's what I say, because I'll pull you down as hard as I want to on my goddamn face, and you'll fucking enjoy it. All right, it's been a long time, courtesy of the pandemic and whatever the fuck else. Me not leaving my house. So I ask you, are you 69 people? Now, again, having engaged in it, like I said, I'm not going to turn it down. And if another person is into it, I am certainly into it myself. But it's not my first choice. Also, as a giant guy, it's not a thing. Because, I mean, I'm the bottom of that. Although never mind, I'm getting into that. Nobody wants to hear this bullshit. So I will say that if given the choice, I would go the other route. But I mean, look, I'm always on board for it. I don't know why I'm telling you that. So tell your friends. Go ahead and spread that word around the neighborhood. Hey, you know what? Mike is really, he's ready and willing. Is he able these days? Who knows, man? He's getting old. We'll see if he can pull it off. Because I'm playing hurt today. I think I tell Lily that later in the show, too, because I got a bad fucking toe. I got a bad mouth. I wound up getting these, the weather's changing, so I got like cuts in the corners as I'm touching it with my tongue. Like, how you open your mouth and then the sides of your mouth can stretch. Mine are kind of split, and I don't know why. And when I go to sleep, when I sleep at night, I part of my beauty routine. I brush my teeth at night, and then I use a little mouthwash, a little Biotine, dry Biotine, and I rinse it off, and then I slather my mouth in Carmex. Not Carmex. I'm dealing with both this week. I'm dealing with Carmex and Carmex. And I'll tell you all about Carmex later. I'll tell you about Carmex now, but Carmex, whatever. It's a long fucking story. Look at me drinking stuff. All right. So I sat down to do a show last week, and like I said, the levels start out low, and I got to read ahead and adjust that. And then the way this show works, as you know, is I hit record, and Katie barred the door. Everybody holds on for dear life. We all grab the reins, and we just kind of slalom to the bottom of the hill together as I just fucking take us on a verbal jaunt. And we go and we fly around, and I'm circuitous, and it's whatever the fuck comes flying out of my mouth, whatever the fuck my body or my head, my body making quips? I think not. I don't want a quip. You don't want a liver quip. Do you want a quip coming out of my liver? I don't think you do. Man, that quip sounded just like it came out of his liver. No, all the quips start in the brain and then come out of the mouth. I don't generate anything out of my fucking kidneys or anything like that. I don't want shit out of quip. So I will sit here and I'm pithy, and I engage you with bon mot, and ennui. Perhaps there's some ennui involved as well. Any other French word you can think of? A baguette may leap upon you. That could happen as well. Some sort of pâté may arrive. So I open up the microphone and we talk, and that's the deal. It's talking at the speed of my head. Whatever the fuck comes out, there's no script. Whatever the fuck happens, and yay. And then, there's sometimes I have a story to tell, or a longer story to tell, and I'll fuck around in the beginning and then we'll get to a story. But a lot of the times, especially recently, with no stories to tell, as I'm hiding in my fucking house, with no story to tell, it's a bees show, I call it. I get a head full of bees. So what we do is we just open the top up, and whatever the fuck flies out. And you guys you benefit from my head's largesse. As I say, another French word that means nothing with an accent mark. So last week I sat down, and it's as I'm recording this, is it Monday? I think I don't even know the date. I'm recording this and I'm going to drop this in your lap, and then there will be another show soon. Because this doesn't count as this week's show. I know it's coming out this week, but it's last week's show. It's last week's show this week. And then there will be a this week's show this week. I swear to God, get off my dick. So I sat down last week to do this show, and I sat in front of a microphone, and I started to spin tales and just fucking rampage all over the place. And I think I was incredibly funny. I thought I was really good. And again, no one will ever think I'm as funny as I think I am. I get that. And I respect you all for sitting around and just kind of nodding and going, yeah, he's full of himself, but we'll give him another fucking week. Why not? So I talked and talked, and I talked and talked, and then I was going to pivot and do some other things and talk some more. And then it got to be, we were an hour and 15 minutes in, I think. And I was like, I stopped talking. You know what? Fuck it. I go, that's actually kind of a show. Like maybe I could put that out as a show, and then we'll do another show next week. And, I have no arbitrary time limit, as you know. I mean, I can go an hour, I can go 3 hours. It depends on whatever the fuck comes out of my head. But it felt like I did a bunch of bees, and it felt funny. And I was like, I don't want to be greedy here. I don't want to fucking hold you hostage, podcast style, right? So if I gave you the little bit of the old in and out, and I fucking hit and run you, I just hit and run like a little Def Leppard. Hit and run. Hit and run. That's not Def Leppard. That's some guy squealing at a corner. But I was all over the place, and I was slaloming, and we were having a great time. And so I go, all right, well, cool. You know what? I think I might do this. And then I backed it up a little bit, because I was like, where can I put in the commercial part? And I hit play, and it sounded like it was me. Clearly it was me. I was there on tape or audio or whatever you want to call it. But it sounded like every time I spoke, like whatever I said, the whole show. I mean, it wasn't even like fucking segments. The entire fucking thing sounded like you were scrolling through an AM radio. You know how you get like, so, but I was talking, but in the middle of it, there are all of these hiccups, and I let me tell you something, man. I heard it at the end of the audio that I had recorded, and all the blood drains from my face, and I'm sitting there white as a sheet, and I stop it, and I'm like, please don't let this be the whole fucking file. Please don't let this be the whole file. Because as you know, doing the show, sometimes I can be a bit of a stick in the mud, and I can tell myself, nobody wants to hear a show, whatever the fuck. But then I record a show and it's really funny, I think, or at least let's put it this way. I record a show that was fine. Let's just say it was fine. I don't want to go jerking off and going, it was the greatest thing I ever did, but that will come into play later. But then I back it up and to the beginning, And it's like that from the beginning. Like all that fucking jumpy shit. And I thought to myself, I was going to put a chunk of it in this show. Because I literally wrote, like, I posted something on Facebook and I was like, I might include some of the junked audio so I can prove to you I'm not lying. And I thought about it, and that's just codependent bullshit. No offense, but I mean, I love you guys, but I don't know you an explanation, quite frankly. I mean, I do, sort of, where I'm like, hey man, this is fucked up and the audio fucked up. But if I tell you that, you should believe me. There shouldn't be, I shouldn't have to give you a chunk of the audio. Now, I'll throw this at you. If anybody out there says, hey man, I really want to hear a chunk of that audio, maybe I'll put a video on Facebook or something, or I'll make another audio file and I'll send it to you personally. Wouldn't that be good? Don't you want corrupted audio sent through your email? Because it was literally in my brain, I'm like, well, I'll share this with people so they know that I'm not lying. And then I went, nobody thinks you're lying. What the fuck is your problem? It just seems like a weird thing to do. And also to essentially we're all friends. Look, and you're super kind to me and everything's really nice. Even giving me your attention is wonderful, but we just, you're in the midst of hoping to help me buy a car. But I, like the people on Friends don't put out a show and then the next week go, you know what, we got to apologize, man. We had a rerun last week. It's just not the way it works. Now, have I been really fucking hit or miss? I have. And does it go a long way to apologize? Well, I'll apologize now, certainly. And I'll tell you again, like I said, even like I posted, I'm really sorry. I had nothing to do with it. And but nothing, like, here's the thing. You, as mad as you are at me being late, 6 days late with the show, as angry as you are with week 3 or whatever the fuck it is of year 14 not coming in on schedule, you couldn't possibly be as angry or sad as I was in that instance when I realized I had lost well over an hour of nonsense audio and comedic whimsy that I can't possibly get back because I just make it up. If I was reading a script to you, that would be a different thing. Or I was doing an audiobook, I could just start over. But to do over, like I said, it was an hour, I think 15 minutes of just original fucking bees, brain thought, fucking whatever the fuck you want to call it, brain blurt, I don't care. And then to have it fucking destroyed. I won't lie. It fucking waylaid me, man. I was like, what the fuck? And then in my head, I'm like, we just got to re-record. But dude, I did this thing. I don't even remember. I just remember going into it and talking about, I spun off and I started talking about magicians and how magicians, they use a top hat to pull out a rabbit. Because I said I was going to wear a hat. Again, you know how my brain works, so I can't even recap it. But I said something about a fedora, and then I said, maybe I got a nice pork pie. I said, you know what, has a magician ever used a pork pie hat? Let me ask you this, because magicians always pull a rabbit out of a pork pie, out of a top hat. They should pull a Vietnamese mini potbelly pig out of a pork pie hat. And that doesn't sound funny at all now, but in the moment, certainly it was hilarious last week. And then I spun it off into how if you ever go see a magic show and a magician ever pulls a rabbit out of a pork pie hat or a potbelly pig out of a top hat, he should go to magic jail. And I said, there's only one place to go for magic jail, and that's they have to reopen Alcatraz, because then they can make it already a tourist attraction, and you get half of a magic jail and then half of a magic show. So you would have to go, and part of their sentence was they would have to do magic shows for you. And believe me, it all made sense last week. But to lose that, to completely lose it's so frustrating, because then it spun off from there into nonsense, and as you know, and we talked about a million different things, which was totally fun. But then it was gone. It was gone. It left us. It slipped off into the goddamn ether, and it infuriated me, which is a drag. And then, so here's when I say this came into play later. Then I tried to sit down, like Friday, I was no good Friday at that point. I'm like, well, I can't just re-record this tonight because what the fuck? So then Saturday, I'm like, all right, I'll fucking bust out a show. This will be great. And I do this dumb thing where I tell myself, you know what, man, you're never going to be as funny as you were on that audio that disappeared. Like, you're never going to top that. So what's the point? I know you guys are like, the fuck is wrong with you, man? And I'm going to tell you this. I don't know. But it was this thing where I just told myself, like, I get this weird, I don't even want to call it depressed. It's just like I trick myself into going, you'll never be as good as you just were. And look at the effort you made, and it was wasted. It fucking got destroyed. And I will tell you this, I'm petrified right now because I'm recording again on Audacity. I'm using the same microphone. And I don't know if this is any fucking good. I don't know if I'm going to stop this and the audio is going to be fucking dead. I have no clue. I did all the checks in the beginning. But I did last week too. I laid down vocal tracks. Not vocal tracks, but I did fucking mic checks and shit. And it did all that bullshit. And like I said, when I heard it was at the end of the audio file. I'm like, well, maybe just the end got corrupted somehow. Like, I don't know. And then part of me thought maybe, because then you start to look at the fucking cause and effect. I was charging my phone at the same time on the laptop, but I had the phone on airplane mode and shit, so it wouldn't ring or whatever. But maybe there was something involved in the charging of the phone that somehow affected the laptop and made it go fucking kablooey. I have no idea. I know I was frustrated by it, and I know I didn't care for it, and I know I wasn't thrilled, and I know it kept me from fucking recording for a few days. And by a few days, I mean 6, obviously, because here we are today. Hi. And it made me keep going. It kept saying, well, you're not gonna top that. You're not gonna top that. It's one show. It's 1 hour. It's 1 hour of audio out of 14 years. And yet I convinced myself, dude, you literally, that's the holy grail of shows. You'll never be able to use it. And I'm a guy who has stopped and started this show before and done 20 minutes and just thrown it away. If I didn't feel it, if I wasn't liking it, if I didn't think it was good or I didn't feel comfortable. There's some audio chunks I just kept. Like I just threw them in, and I literally have them in a file that says unused audio chunks or whatever the fuck. And I'm like, well, that can't be used. Throw that in the fucking pile. Throw that in the fucking Tinder wood, right? Is that what it is? Kindling. That's the word I'm looking for. Jesus. And so I still have last week's audio file. And again, if you'd want proof, I'll email it to you. Because I honestly, I actually put on my post, if any audio people out there think they can fucking clean this up, let me know. But there's no way you can clean it up. It sounds like I'm doing the whole fucking show in Pig Latin. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm hiccuping and fucking, I just sound terrible. And you'll never be able to parse it. And it won't be, and again, I don't know if you're aware of this. Comedy is timing. That's an old Steve Martin bit. So my timing completely ruined by all the audio flaws. So, I don't know, man. Maybe it's my building. Maybe the electricity got all fucked up. Because now it's like summer's coming and everybody's doing their young summer thing. We got young people here in my building. This is completely true. It was hot here. It finally got to be hot in Los Angeles. And there was like an old school pool party at my house. But it was only 3 people. It was only a woman and a guy and 2 women. But it was straight up. He was wearing a Speedo. And she was wearing, and the 2 girls were wearing thongs, and and they were having a great time. And I'll tell you this, there was no, I just loved it. It felt alive. Like it felt like there was some sort of fucking cool ass thing going on outside. Now look, was I invited? Clearly I was not, but it's not going to matter when I'm going to fit in with these people. I'm literally the combined age of 2 of them, if not all 3 somehow, which is actually, when the age of consent is 18, 30, 54. Yeah, if all 3 of them were 18, I'm as old as the 3 of them combined. Ridiculous. But they were playing music. Like they had music playing the whole time, and they were dancing. Like they weren't swimming per se. Like they were just over in the shallow end, standing in it or sitting down in it, and just playing music and talking. And I was doing my laundry, so I would have to walk to and from the laundry room. And it made me laugh because then at one point I looked over and like I said, they're wearing thongs and he's wearing, it looked like, you know what it did? It looked like one of those pseudo porn pool parties because it looked like at any moment the 3 of them were just going to fucking pair off and have a daisy chain or whatever the fuck. Just a human donut where they're all fucking going down on one another. They just roll into the deep end. But he had like, and I know the guy, he's a good guy. He drives a truck, nice guy, lives in my apartment building. Good looking guy, of course. But he was wearing Speedos and they weren't, now he's wearing Speedos, which is one thing. All right. That's a statement, but they were teal. He wasn't wearing white Speedos. He wasn't wearing black Speedos. He didn't look like an Olympian going for a race. He was wearing teal. He looked like he was at, Derek For Real's party in Blow. You know what I mean? He showed up with Johnny Depp and Ethan Suplee and they're talking to fucking Pee Wee Herman in a robe. Like it was that sort of deal. And I say that in an apropos way because he's got his Speedo. He also had his hair in like a ponytail, but his hair's not long enough to be a hanging ponytail. So it was like sticking out of the back of his head. It wasn't a man bun and it wasn't a ponytail. It was more of a tail bun. You know what I'm talking about? Like it was kind of tied up, but it was sticking straight out. It looked like a dog hard on off the back of his head, like a dog cock, just fucking, covered in hair and sticking the fuck out. And I'm sure he'd love for me to tell him that. I just told you he's a good looking guy. He's a good looking guy with a dog cock sticking out of the back of his head. But as I'm going to and from the laundry room, at one point I look and, they did coke. They did bumps off of his hand. The two girls did. And then he did a final one, and I saw them do it because I was in the laundry room, but they did it without a care in the world. It wasn't. And again, look, I've done some questionable things in the pool myself, so it does not bother me. But it did throw me off. I won't lie, to see them do bumps. Which I think. And look, by the way, I think they were doing bumps. They may have been doing that thing that we all do when we're young, is we sit around the pool and we play a rousing game of smell my hand. I have no idea what they were doing, but to me, it looked like they were possibly banging back some drug powder, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm very hip to the lingo. But I enjoyed it. I was like, good, have fun, play music, dance, because look, I'm getting a full eye full of two chicks in thongs dancing at the pool. Nothing wrong with that. And but the thing was, as I'm walking to the laundry room, I was texting with a friend of mine who listener to the show, and I just said to him, I told him there's a pool party. It's bordering on porn at this point. Like it might spill over. Who the fuck knows? And then I wrote to him just that there were lithe, slinky children dance like there's not a care in the world as old man washes rugs and socks. Because that's what I was doing. I was washing my bathroom rugs and my socks and my whites and my flannel sheets, and just trudging out there doing it all, washing, drying, folding. That's how I handle my business, in that order. I like to do it that way. I like to go washing, drying, folding. I tried drying, folding, washing, not as effective. But that day I was washing, drying, folding, and then also dreaming of the day I could be asked to join the pseudo pool party. Oh my God. I just want to go out there. I'm the skeezy, you know who I am? I'm the Colonel from fucking Boogie Nights. They're out there, they got Speedos on, they're doing bumps, they're dancing around, they're playing music, and I show up in a suit with a cane with a 14-year-old girl on my arm. What a fucking sleazebag. And it was that thing where I can't watch them clearly as they're dancing and having their summer lovers moment, because that's what reminded me of it. There's a movie, when I was a kid, there was a movie called Summer Lovers, and it's about three people who went to Greece and basically invented the throuple. That's what they did. They invented the throuple. It's Daryl Hannah and some short black-haired chick and a guy, I want to say his name is Peter, but he looked like the lead kid in Entourage. Vincent. The guy who was the star of Entourage, who was like this, he was Aquaman or whatever the fuck. This guy, no, Peter, it's not Peter Weller, because that's fucking RoboCop. Who's this dude? He's a famous actor from the 80s, and he probably went on and he did other things, I'm sure. Watch, he's going to be some Oscar winner, and I can't remember his fucking name, but whatever. So Summer Lovers, it was like three people in Greece getting naked and fucking sunbathing, and eventually they wind up crossing they cross the Rubicon, and everybody's got a finger in one another. You know what I mean? They're all having a great time. And I'll tell you, that's a rousing game of Smell My Hand in Greece with fucking Daryl Hannah. Oh, I'll play the shit out of that. Don't kid yourself. I'll be smelling my hand all goddamn night. So they're having their moment, and I was loving it, but I couldn't look. And so and it's almost that thing where you have to go out of your way not to look, whereas I'm walking to the laundry room and they're not really in my eye shot, but if I glance over, I can see them, nude and bending over or whatever the fuck. But you can't do that, because the second I do that, they're going to be like, ugh! They're going to throw on towels and run away. But I will tell you this, they were bound and determined to have the longest pseudo-porn pool party in the history of my apartment complex. I've had stuff happen here before, naked Frenchie's daughter, all this kind of shit. But these people were out at my pool it had to be like 11 a.m. until fucking 8:30 p.m. And they didn't even grill. They had a cooler, and they were drinking, and they were just fucking dancing. They don't need to eat. You know what they're eating? They're eating love. They're eating youth. Their sustenance is gained by everyone's stares. That's what they're doing. They're eating stares. And I don't mean the kind you climb. They were just out there being adored, and they loved it, and they had a great time doing it. And I hope they do it again, and I hope they do it soon, although they probably won't, because here in Los Angeles, it's like 40 degrees at night now. What the fuck happened here? Yes, I know it's a desert, but still, it's May. Turn it around. And May is always filled with gloom here. And also with the global warming and shit, everything's changed. I mean, we don't even get a fall barely, until like maybe December. And then it starts to get cold in February, and then it's gloomy through May. And then, of course, it's 107 degrees for 3 months, like June till September. And even now, from September through October, it's like 100 degrees. It's fucking crazy hot here, man. Which, again, as you know, I love. I would much rather be hot than cold. If you're going to kill me, please set me on fire. Do not freeze me. Do not put me in a deep freeze. I demand to be set on fire. As you know, I've made this appeal several times in the past. So I sat with our friend Lily and we talked and we did a podcast, and that's coming up, but I'm here to do what I called a preamble because, I want to tell you these things. And why do I want to tell you these things? I wanted to tell you about plugs. I got to do plugs here. Did you know, you guys know you can get me at Mike and MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You can be my friend at Facebook.com/the40year-old-boy. You can follow me at Twitter.com/the40year-old-boy. I'm also at Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok, Mike40YOB. Look me up on there. Why wouldn't you? Reach out and touch someone. Reach out and just say thank you. And find me. Reach out to me. Don't reach out to anybody else. Reach out to me, please. Because again, I've got an hour of bad audio here that I fucking listen to and go, I was so funny then. Listen how funny I was. But you'll never hear it unless you want to. I mean, it literally ask me, I'll send it to you. I don't give a shit. And if you want, you can try to parse it. But I'll tell you, it's one of those things where when you listen to it, you're going to go, it almost sounds like I was trying to fucking hypnotize you, or I did it in some sort of code. Like it's a tape that the Russians would play backwards and somehow find some coordinates. It's just fucking grim. And I thought, again, I'm talking about pork pie hats and having fun. And it melted into the sea. Fucking what a drag, dude. There's nothing worse. I've had it happen before. I think it's happened a couple times where whole shows have disappeared. And I've just been fucking gobsmacked, fucking shell shocked. I don't know. I never know what to do in that instance. So in this time I sulked. That's what I did. I fucking sat and sulked. But now here we are. We've opened up the microphone and Audacity is like, what the fuck, man? And again, I'm trusting that Audacity is recording me cleanly and clearly. We'll see when this is over. If this is all fucked up again, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. And you'll never hear this. What if you never heard this? What if nobody ever hears this? What if nobody ever hears the podcast ever again? I can only do it through Zoom with Lily. Maybe it's, it could be Audacity going, dude, don't do alone shows. Nobody wants to fucking hear you alone. I have no idea. Audacity, it's kind of haughty, got a bit of an attitude sometimes. But I love it. We've been through a lot of things together. You guys, again, can get me at all those places that I just mentioned. Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok, Mike40YOB. I'm part of the Misfit Toys Co-op. Me, Todd Glass, Jimmy Pardo, Matt Belknap, Jen Kirkman, Paul Gilmartin is part of that with his fucking sad sack show where he's like, he talks to people who've lost a pet. That's, essentially like, because there's Danielle and Christine do a show about danger. And I think because it's always like how to experience a tornado or how to experience a rabid dog. They should have someone go on and be like, I actually experienced Paul Gilmartin's podcast. I was on the mental illness healthy happy hour, whatever the fuck. And it went exactly the way you would think. But listen to them and download them, all part of the Misfit Toys Co-op. You're going to love them. They're great. Did you know that I'm on Cameo? I am. Mother's Day's coming up. Why wouldn't you want to lasso me and get me into talking to your mom about some nice thing or talking to your dad? Let me talk, on Mother's Day, let me talk to your dad and tell him how great your mom is. I can do that too. I'll tell your mom she's awesome. I'll tell your mom, and I'll tell your mom, relax in bed. The kids have got dinner. They're going to take care of it and bring it right up to you on a tray. Although that seems to be, don't let Ma stay in bed all day. You don't bring her dinner in bed. Ma, you got to get up at some point. You can stay in bed in the morning. I'm going to reference this now, and please don't think about it in the terms of your moms. But have you ever seen the Onion article where it was mom once again eaten out for Mother's Day, I think it is, or her birthday? I can't remember what it is. Mom served breakfast in bed after being eaten out by dad or something. It's a fucking, just the title alone, eaten out, is fucking, it makes me laugh. And it's a fun article. It's just the kids burst in with the tray of food and mom is flush. And she's like, okay, well, mommy's going to sleep for another 2 hours now, if you don't mind. Google it because it made me fucking laugh. But I won't do that for your mother. I won't tell her about that article or read it to her in any way. I'll keep it clean. I'll go ahead and just reference all the things she loves. Tell me the things she loves. I'll talk about them. Tulips and soap operas and whatever the fuck. What else do moms like? Wine and cigarettes, living, laughing, and loving. Does your mom like dancing like no one is watching? I'll reference that. I'll do whatever you need me to do. So please hook me up with your mom on Mother's Day. Well, that sounds terrible. Don't do that. Let me do a video for your mom on Mother's Day. I'll do it respectful. I'll do it nice. I'll do it clean. It'll be amazing. Or just one for your dad to remind him how great your mom is. I can do that. So I'm on Cameo. I'm on Twitch. Now look, I said I was going to be back on Twitch May 1st, and it didn't happen today, which is because today's May 1st, I think. I don't know the date. Because I have other things going on too that I'm trying to get straightened out. Because you know me, I'm not a multitasker. I'm no Venn diagram. You can't put me between two circles. I need to be in one circle till everything's done in that circle, and then I can drift over to the other circle. So right now there's some medium chaos going on. Not really. It's nothing bad, but it's just shit that I want to get fucking fixed because I'd like to get off my goddamn plate going forward. In addition to that, I had not done a podcast. So I'm like, as I've mentioned before, how can you have your pudding if you don't eat your meat? The podcast is the meat. Twitch is pudding, clearly. So please know, though, that I'm out there. Twitch.tv/the40year-old boy and YouTube.com/the40year-old boy. Go follow those channels. Doesn't cost you anything. And then when I eventually show up and I show my face and go, hi, it's me again with stuff, you'll be like, I've been following for years and he's fantastic. So find me on those places. And, and you know, you guys were so cool with the GoFundMe, and there will be an end to that saga at some point. That's one of the things I'm trying to figure the fuck out and let you know what's going on. But thank you for stepping up, and you're all very cool, and I appreciate it. And then, I will tell you this. This is the main reason I did the preamble today. It's truly the main reason. First, I'll tell you a little bit about our great friend, David Hernandez. He has the podcast called the Phlegmcat Podcast. You should check it out. And that's, sorry, just a very loud truck went by. The Phlegmcat. It's the Jim Cott podcast. Go ahead and read it. A left-handed pitcher who's a fantastic fielder who's now in the Hall of Fame, and Mex loves him. Can't stop talking about him. Was Jim Cott left-handed? Maybe not. I could be wrong there. But I know he's in the Hall of Fame, former Philly. Terrific fielder. One of the best fielding pitchers who ever lived. But it's not that. It's not the Phlegmcat podcast. It's the Phlegmcat podcast, and it's a terrific, a cast of characters, a coterie, if you will, of people that he goes in, people and animals that he brings to the forefront. I think there may be some little people, some charming little people. I think there's a bear. All of them are there, and they're all terrific and amazing, and he brings them all to life with such vim and vigor. And I'm going to say this, also verve. A lot of V's over there at the Phlegmcat podcast. Go ahead and check it out. Give it a download and listen. And also go to Facebook.com/David Mex Hernandez and be Mex's friend. And tell him I sent you. Why not? He knows me. We've met. And let him know that you're listening, and it's all because of me. Because I demand to accept as much glory as I possibly can for his podcast. Because I don't get enough here. I have a voracious appetite for glory. Feed me glory through the hole. Now, everybody, let us cut to the chase. Let us go ahead and describe in detail exactly why I'm here doing a preamble. I could have just put out a chunk of audio with our great friend Lily, but I refuse this week. I refuse. Because I wanted to talk to you about another show. Our great friend, Fearful Jesuit, he's out there. He's lurking. I think he was on a plane this week. He went somewhere. And here, I'll tell you the complete truth. Our great friend, Fearful Jesuit, was like, hey, dude, do me a favor. Can you listen to my very special show that's going to be coming out the first week of May? I'm excited for it. I want you to listen to it, and I'd love to hear how you feel about it on the show. And I said, I'm happy to do it. I can't wait. And then I recorded that audio, and it went in the fucking tank, and then I hid from everything, including texts from my great friend Jesuit, where he was like, dude, you going to tell people about the show? What are you doing? What's going on over there? Because, he is a sponsor. It's not like just I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart. Our great friend Jesuit has been like, he's stepped up. He's ponied up with some cash. He's been a very kind and generous benefactor to the show. Even in my times of strife, when I haven't done a show for 4 weeks, he's still supported and did not need to. And I would text him and go, look, dude, you don't have to do this. I totally get it. It's a business deal. It's not just friends. And you should fucking cut ties because, man, I'm not coming through the way you thought I would. And he's like, I love you. You're my friend. I want to support the show. And it's a heartwarming thing that he would say that, but at the same time, it's even more of an embarrassment because I know in my cold black heart of cold black hearts, I'm not doing the job, and I'm not supporting him in the way I should. So there's no real reason for me to accept money from him. Whatever. This is a lot about inside baseball and behind the scenes you probably didn't need to hear. But aside from all of that, last week I did listen to Act 1 and Act 2 of Fearful Jesuit's show. He's doing I don't even know how to describe it. Literally, he'll call it a rock opera, I believe. I believe that's his reference for it. Except he's doing... Remember when David would do the interlude and he would do like a fucking musical project about the show, and then it would come out, it would be like, 40 minutes long, and everybody would be like, holy shit. Or an hour, sometimes an hour, over an hour. And it was incredible work because it's one dude playing all the instruments and singing. Well, Fearful Jesuit, imagine if someone did 5 interludes and put them back to back to back to back to back. That's what he's done. I will try to do it justice by describing it, but I'm going to tell you, I don't think I have the words that are needed to describe this show in detail. I will tell you, it's a musical about, there's a guy that Jesuit knows named Bill Cooper or William Cooper. All right. When it opens, because first of all, if you go download these shows. There's a 30-minute kind of a post that explains what's coming, and then Act 1 and Act 2 and Act 3, and it's like an audiobook combined with a double rock album. It's fucking astonishing, the level of fucking work that has gone into this. And you can say this, oh, wow, if you ever go to somebody and go, wow, you put a lot of work into this, that's not a compliment. That just means, oh, you worked on this a long time. It doesn't mean it's good or bad. I'm here to tell you the greatness of this project defies description in the podcasting realm, okay? Because the music is not slapdash. Like I always talk, David's the most talented guy I've ever met. And when he does my interludes, I'm always like, fuck, dude, I don't know how you make it sound like a professional album. And people would always write, and they're like, fucking, how does Mex do that in a fucking home studio? How does he kill it? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm not a fucking musician or a magician, quite frankly. And I have to pivot and say that same thing about our great friend, Fearful Jesuit, and his band. They have brought this show to fucking life in a way that I can't, and I know there's nothing worse than someone going, I can't really describe it. I can't tell you how good it is. I don't have the words. No, I mean, I have the words, essentially. It's just phenomenal. He describes in the beginning what it is, all right? And then he goes into Act 1 and Act 2. Act 1 has 10 songs in it. And I would say it's a blend of like garage rock and power pop songs that are all originals about this fucking guy, Bill Cooper. Again, it's a musical about a guy named Bill Cooper, also known as William Cooper. Now, I will tell you on the show that's like kind of the I don't even know how you would describe it. It's a prelude, perhaps, that explains everything. And it's him and Dana, and they're talking about this guy, Bill Cooper, and explains who he is and why they're doing this fucking musical about him. And I have to be honest, when I hear his description, and still in my brain, I'm like, I don't know how one makes the leap to going, hey man, I love this really weird paranoid guy from the 70s. I'm going to write a musical about him. Because when I hear this dude, I would think to myself, all right, so Jesuit heard this guy and he's like, you know what? I need to write a 4.5 musical about this guy. And if I heard this guy on the radio, I would think, oh man, I got to break my radio by turning the knob so quickly that I get this guy off my fucking radio as quickly as I possibly can. Because I don't, and also it's a dude who was on shortwave radio. This dude, he's obviously outlived his popularity or whatever the fuck he had, but he'll always remain alive in the fact that Jesuit's done a 5-part musical about the goddamn guy. And again, he's a dude on shortwave radio. How do you do that? That's like writing a musical about the people you see on the gas station TV. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, what the fuck? What seizes you? What gives you the opportunity and the inspiration to make something like this happen? And then he goes into detail about the guy, and he's like, he's an alcoholic domestic abuser with one leg. This is completely true. He's an alcoholic domestic abuser with one leg who's been married 6 times. And also an absentee father to his children. And then somebody writes a 5-part musical on him. And I think to myself, I've done a podcast for 14 years, and I haven't seriously dated in 3. in 3 of those years. Like, this fucking guy's an alcoholic domestic abuser, one leg, married 6 times, never talks to his kids, and getting laid constantly. How do you trick 6 women into fucking marrying you? You got one fucking leg, for fuck's sake. That had to be a charming dude, right? That's got to be a super charming cat. But as he describes him in the prelude, I'm seized by the fact where I'm like, I don't understand the inspiration. This is not a thing I would ever tackle or think to myself, God, I've got to do a whole fucking, and again, who am I kidding? I just did a whole fucking thing about summer lovers, whatever the fuck. We all have our own predilections and we all have our own fucking niches. And this is wheelhouse for Jesuit. So Act 1 has 10 songs. Act 2 has 8 songs. It has all of these actors, one of whom sounds shockingly to me like Todd Barry. And when I was listening to it, I was like, Jesus Christ, this dude. There's a sketch where they're talking about the Kennedy assassination, and this one dude sounds exactly like Todd Barry to me. You'll hear it. And now you're thinking to yourself, oh, they talk about the Kennedy assassination? Of course they do. It's still the paranoid strain. You're still going to get a mention about the protocols of the elders of Zion. That's going to come up at some fucking point because it has to. It's the tome from which everything has been sprung. It's the wellspring for all of this conspiracy bullshit. There's a song called Mothership that for me, it sounds just like Sabbath to me, like it's a Sabbath tune. There's a song called, believe it or not, Shellfish Toxin Pellet Gun. And it goes in with the fucking Kennedy thing I talked about. And for me, it had a Dead Milkmen vibe. Like, it had a super Dead Milkmen vibe. And I dug it. I'm not even a Dead Milkmen guy, but I was like, cool. And there's one song that's just a straight up, like a Creedence kind of tribute because it fits the narrative of what they're doing. It's incredible work. I mean, nothing I say is going to do it justice. You have to listen to it. It's him and it's his friend, Daniel Arizona, who wrote or co-wrote, I guess, almost all the songs. And all these guys have names. One guy's named Moisty. He sings, he writes. One guy is Lucifer Jones. One guy is Squonkus. I mean, and I know because of the show that Jesuit does, he doesn't want real names out there, which I totally get. Now, I will tell you this. There's another guy, he's the bass player, and he wrote a song, and then he sings as well. And I'm not going to say his name, and I know that sounds ridiculous. It's just that it's a word I don't use, folks. His last name is Ferguson. And I will tell you this, if you Google Ferguson and Norm Macdonald and Burt Reynolds, you'll find out what this guy's name is. I'm refusing to. I just said Moisty and Squonkus, all right? I'll say Moisty. You want me to say Moisty? I'll say Moisty. You want to throw a Squonkus at me? I'll throw you a Squonkus. One time on this show, I said, hey, man, I got my content going directly into your squinkle. So I'm not above saying squinkle. I'll say a Squonkus. Why not? But I draw the line at Mr. Ferguson's first name. So I'll just call him Mr. Ferguson. He's the bass player. And it's incredible work. Like I said, there's fucking, it's, and the acting, the voice acting is real good. I don't know who did the voice acting, but there's a role in here because there's the main character. Because I should tell you this, by the way, it's a musical about Bill Cooper, but it's fictional. So MJF is the actual protagonist of this broadcast, the whole enterprise, but he's based on William Cooper. And later on, he becomes active in the UFO community, and he meets, within the realm of the story, there's a guy who is a son of a famous Western director, and he doesn't buy the shtick coming from this MJF guy. And I don't know who this actor is, but his part is so lived in and so perfect. And everybody's great. You know what I mean? Everybody's real good. But this dude he's so believable that in listening to it, I was just like, whoa, this fucking guy. Because voiceover is hard. Like, I mean, I can do this shit where I'm just talking off the fucking top of my head and it's just me being me. But if you hand me a script, I mean, I'm a good cold reader, but you have to sound lived in. You have to sound emotional. And he never sounds like it was stuff he had to learn. You know what I mean? I'll listen to some things on audiobooks or podcasts or plays or whatever, and you'll go, this guy's clearly reading. He's reading a script, or he's going from what he just learned. Whereas this dude, he talks like he's living the part. It's fucking, I don't know who the actor is who's doing it, but he was kind of riveting to me, because he talks about how he doesn't buy into the guy's stuff, and then, he basically tosses off a couple of lines about him, and he laughs. He kind of blows him off. It's just a really well done part. And it's all well done. That's the thing. Like, whatever I say isn't going to fucking, I'm just telling you to listen to it, because anything I say is like, you'll be like, that's just bullshit hype, but you're going to listen to it. And no matter what I say, it's going to be better. What you're going to hear is going to be better. So I've heard Acts 1 and 2. And I haven't heard Acts 3 and 4 yet. Those are coming my way. And I think I'm going to get Act 5. I'm not sure. I may have to listen to that right along with you guys on the old podcast release. But I'll have more on the next show about Acts 3 and 4. But 1 and 2 just... Again, as I've said before about Jesuit's show, I can't do it. It's not a show I could do. Because I did an hour and 15 minutes of audio last week, and I got fucking eaten, and I was so dejected that I wanted to throw microphones away and throw them in the dumpster. Whereas he sits and he fucking edits this show in such a professional capacity, and this guy, again, I'm shamed by him, because the guy's got a fucking real job, a great job. He's got a wife. He's got a whole big fucking family. He's got a nice house, that he's got to take care of. He's got and he does this podcast in a fucking closet, and with him and Dana, and then he edits it and he puts it together, and then writing the songs and shit. He just works his ass off, man. And I've said before on this show, and I said it recently, I just want to be great. I do have it in me to where I want to be great, and I'll see things that inspire me. I'll see performances in movies, and I'll see fights. I'll see UFC fights, and I'm like, I got to get back in the fucking gym. I got to do something, because I want to be great. And then I'll hear something like this podcast, and I would love to perform to that capability. And look, I love me, this. I think I'm fucking hysterical, and I think what I do is really good. But sometimes when you see somebody being dramatic, like in a movie or a show, you can start thinking what you do is kind of a trifle. Or if you hear, I'm in the medium or the milieu, or whatever the fuck, the medium of podcasting, and then you hear somebody take it to such a crazy level where they're essentially combining acting and music. So they made and a 5-part, again, it's almost like a 4.5 hour, 5-hour musical about a fucking, and it's all written. So it's essentially, he wrote a limited series. You know what I mean? When you think about it, I mean, a year of Succession has 10 episodes. I think Perry Mason had 8. So he wrote 5 hours. So he's 3 hours away from having a Perry Mason. That's what he should fucking do. Concentrate on doing, what are you doing? How lazy are you fuck? You could have done 3 more hours and had a whole fucking Perry Mason of podcasts. Go download it. The Paranoid Strain is available wherever you get your finer podcast, just like the Flemcat podcast. Download it, give it a listen. Listen to Acts, like I said, 1 and 2, and I'll be listening to 3 and 4. I'll talk about it on the next show. And just sit there with your fucking jaw slack. And also, I will ask you this: listen to it and enjoy it, but don't ever think to yourself, well, why doesn't Mike do something like this? Please, I'm not asking you to be corrupted. I'm not asking you to listen to it and use it as the measuring stick by which you measure me in this fucking show, because it's a totally different approach. I sit down and in real time I babble, and this dude has a guy named Squonkus on call. I don't have a Squonkus. What if I had a Squonkus? How much better would this fucking show be? I need to have a Squonkus on call at all times. But perhaps there's only one. There can be only one. Squonkus is like the Highlander, and he knows it's better to burn out than to fade away. And he's aligned himself with a man who will do the work and do the work that he likes to do. So Squonkus and your friend Fearful Jesuit holding hands and heading into the sunset and avoiding Mr. Ferguson at all costs, because nobody wants to say that name. And Moisty, I guess Moisty can come along. And our friend Mr. Arizona. A lot of misters going around. I'm calling these guys this. I'm refusing to say all of the names. So go ahead and download the Paranoid Strain. And then please be active on the Paranoid Strain Facebook page. And also, I think he put an ad in the or at least a post in the Joker's page. Listen and tell him how great it is, and reach out. His email is theparanoidstrain@gmail.com, theparanoidstrain@gmail.com. Send him a note. Tell him you think it's going gangbusters and you really loved it and thought it was something that was well worth your time. And he'll be thrilled to hear that, believe me, because he is a man who, I can speak from experience. When you do good work, you love being told that people enjoy it. They didn't even have to tell you that you did good work there, but attaboys are fucking huge. Yes, we all want money. We all need this. We all need other things too. Nostalgia, money, pussy. We need all of those things. But attaboys are just the fuel to the podcasting fire, certainly. And if you tell a guy like Jesuit, dude, we fucking loved your 5-hour fictional character rock opera audiobook movie limited series, Half a Perry Mason. And he's going to go, great. And he's going to take that and it's going to fuel him to next year give you the full Mason. He's gonna give you the full goddamn Mason next year. And by the way, this is a guy who just worked incredibly hard to create artwork that has me kind of stunned. And yet here I am already cajoling him into doing something better next year. What a fucking idiot I am. I'm a terrible person. And I think we all know this. Simmering beneath the surface of me is an underlying rage and jealousy. And it's always there and it never goes away. So please go ahead and download our great friends show, Fearful Jesuit, The Paranoid Strain, available where all of your finer podcasts are sold or bought. Or just given away for free, thrown off the back of a truck. That's what happened. The mob sold it to him. They found this fucking guy and they said, you want to do a musical? Hey, we just fell off a truck. Who wants to spend some money on this musical? Hey, that's the worst mobster voice of all time. All right, man. So Lily's coming up. I'm going to play some commercials. Well, I mean, I'm not going to play them. The fucking Misfit Toys are going to play it because I haven't done it in a while. And look, I don't make any fucking money from this enterprise anyway. It's my own fault, but I should try harder, certainly, to go ahead. As we know, I live at the corner of Content Avenue and Commerce Boulevard. And as I give the content, I should worry about the commerce as well. So thank you for being here for the preamble. There will be another show very soon. You're all very kind. And again, if you want a copy of that shitty audio, I'll say, because I literally thought to myself I should put some of it in the show. But I thought, now you're just being an ass who's like, I'll prove I'm not lying. It's dumb. But also, why would I sully this show with garbage? I don't want to go ahead and put the shitty audio in. Because what if, again, just presupposing the president of show business tunes in. He's like, you know what? I'll give this guy a day in court. And the 5 seconds he hears are the fucking AM radio bullshit, and he'll be like, I don't understand a word this guy's saying. Pig Latin is not in this year, and he'll fucking whack me. So I give a guy a chance to hate me. I don't want to do anything like that. I want to give everybody the chance to love me. Or as the Cranberries said, love me, say that you love me. Is that the Cranberries? Or the Zombies? It's not the Zombies. The Zombies have Time of the Season. Boom, boom, boom. Ah. By the way, I just saw Britney Spears on a fucking Instagram post, and she was chopping fruit to that song, Time of the Season. It was so fucking odd. She's odd. Look, man, good for you. And I'm sure she's lovely and I hope things are going well for her. But she left her conservatorship and just stepped right into dance jail. I don't know what happened. She's constantly fruging. That has to be exhausting. If you know how people are in a fugue state, Britney Spears is in a frug state. It's constant when you go to her fucking channel. She is just dancing and will not stop. You know, people, I said dance like no one is watching. She's dancing like everybody is watching, and it's fucking brutal. And I'm sure she's lovely, and I hope she's happy and content. And I hope, her conservatorship, I hope she's got all of her money. She can buy whatever the fuck she wants. She's certainly chopping fruit with the best of them. But yeah, man, this poor girl lives in a frug state. It is wild to watch. All right, I've bored you long enough. Let's get some commercials into you now, right? I'm sure this next commercial is gonna be for a fucking dick pill, and then after that there'll be some fucking juice they squeezed out of a rock. They've invented a rock juice, and somehow those guys stepped up and went, "Hey man, we should sponsor a podcast. What if we did a rock juice? Hey, okay, hey guys, we've been squeezing." And I don't even know how discerning the people are, because I just found, look, I'll tell you this, I just found out. My fucking hosting company is Art19, and Belknap was one of the founding members of it, and so I got grandfathered in, which was super cool. He reached out to me even, which is, again, that's all I need to make me feel special. When they asked me to be in Misfit Toys, I floated out of the room like a dog smelling something nice in a cartoon, just like fucking Muttley. I floated out and and I floated across the room and fell like a feather to the ground to sleep because I was so happy to be included. But Art 19 is my hosting company, right? Which is great. I'm thrilled with that because they've been fantastic. And again, they're super nice. But I didn't even know this. Like Belknap doesn't even own it anymore. I don't think. I think they sold it to Amazon. And when I heard that in my brain, I was like, wow, Art 19 has been sold to Amazon. And there's two things I thought of. I'm like, well, so they canceled my fucking Amazon, affiliate plan because I posted the link on Facebook once or something, and they all of a sudden they were like, "Nah, you can't do it." And right when the beginning of the pandemic, I'm like, "Really? You're gonna cut off this one fucking income stream that I have, you dicks?" But now I realize I work for them anyway. I toil in the Amazon mines just like the drivers. So I will tell you this: the next time I do a show and it seems to be going long, I'm gonna piss in a bottle. I'm gonna have to because I gotta get the show out, buddy. I gotta fucking crank it. Chugga motion. Let's fucking do it. All right, enjoy these commercials for products nobody will ever fucking buy. And I apologize for last week. I shouldn't be apologizing this much, but I'm a codependent jerk. So I will tell you, year 14, shows should come out on time. All shows should come out on time. So thank you for being here and bear with me, right? Let's all bear it with each other together and hold hands. Let's hold hands. Shall we do that? Reach out, reach through the screen, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can. And now, here's an ad for Monkey Balls.
We made USAA insurance for veterans like James. When he found out how much USAA was helping members save, he said,
"It's time to switch."
"We'll help you find the right coverage at the right price." USAA. What you're made of, we're made for. Restrictions apply.
Hi there, I'm Jimmy Pardo, host of the award-winning podcast, Never Not Funny. It's a show that's been described as hanging out with friends you never knew you needed. Well, each week I get together with my co-host, Matt Belknap, and great people from the worlds of comedy, Broadway, music, TV, movies. You get the point. Hey, Matt, give me some examples of who we've had on.
Oh my God, Jimmy, we've had comedy legends like Conan O'Brien, Amy Poehler, and Sarah Silverman, Hollywood royalty like Rob Reiner and John Hamm, and members of classic rock bands like Styx and Kiss.
Hey, Never Not Funny's been around since 2006, so we must be doing something right. So why not join our nonsense each week? Never Not Funny.
The fastest hour in podcasting.
Got it. Recording in progress. I have to click that button every time it comes on now. When it tells me it's like recording in progress, I'm like, yay, what does that even mean? I don't know what that means. Actually, I do. I know exactly what the words recording in progress means. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. How are you folks? I hope you're good. We're late. We're late. There's no getting around it. Clearly, this show should have been out last Thursday, but I've got a tale to tell. I've got a yarn to spin. Although a yarn to spin makes it sound like it's fake and it's false, and it's not. It's in neither of those things. It's completely true. It's exactly what happened. It's what left me waylaid. It's what left me knee knocked. It's what took me out and put my dick in the dirt, folks. And I'm here to tell you about it right now. Finally, I've stepped up to the microphone. Finally, The Rock has come back to podcasting. That's right. I've just proclaimed myself the Rock of podcasting. How crazy is that? How if you're The Rock? How if you become The Rock? You're The Rock. You're the fucking Rock. How do you then pivot and go, please call me Dwayne? I don't understand it. I know his real name is Dwayne, and that's totally fine. And Dwayne isn't that just the worst schlubby fucking stuff this ass fucking a locker name in the fucking world? Apologies, Dwayne's. But still, if you were the fucking Rock, your name is The Rock. Everybody calls you The Rock. And then you pivot to be Dwayne Johnson. Truly the weirdest, like, hey, I'm not really a spy name you would ever have in the history of cinema. Dwayne Johnson, because it's so nondescript and fucking awful. Dwayne Johnson's the guy, he shows up at the high school reunion and they didn't make a name tag for him because they didn't, not even that they didn't like him or didn't think he'd show up. They forgot him. They didn't even know he fucking existed. That's who Dwayne Johnson is. He comes to the high school reunion. He has to wear a tag that says guest because they don't fucking remember this guy. But if you're The Rock, do you think they're going to forget you ever? Fucking high school people, anybody at all in the world? You're the fucking Rock. And I know he pivoted because he was like, you know what? I was The Rock in The Mummy Returns and fucking Scorpion King and Hercules and whatever the fuck. But now we go big time and I pivot to Dwayne. You know, there's the demarcation line of my career. The Rock made these half in the bag thrillers that were just kind of like fly by night shows where I just oiled, literally the only thing bigger in the budget than The Rock's salary for those movies was the baby oil budget. Clearly, that's what they did. And then The Rock said, you know what? Those are the Rock movies. Those, go ahead and look back on those. That's The Walking Tall. That's the Runaway. That's all of the, I know a lot about The Rock's catalog, by the way.
Yes, you do.
Apparently, right? Also, and I know, right? That just seems weird that I would know all those off the top of my fucking head. Like I planned this bit and I did not. Clearly, it's coming from a place of concern for The Rock, why he would change it. Because now Dwayne Johnson is a fucking idiot. He's great. But then he actually made that line in the sand. He's like, you know what? These are the Rock movies with the baby oil and the nonsense. And now we pivot to the Dwayne movies, where Seven Bucks Productions. He's got a weird look, dude. I used to think The Rock was the most charismatic person on the fucking planet, and that's not even a joke. Like, because if you ever think about this, we've talked about it on here before. When you see people like Mick Jagger, like what a charisma cannon that fucking guy has to be to hold the fucking 100,000 people in the palm of his hand with whatever he does. Every shimmy of his too thin hips makes people fucking lose their minds, even at the age of fucking 85 or whatever the fuck he is. This dude is a hip waiting to break. And I say that because he doesn't have two hips. He's one slinky hip motherfucker. His hips have actually formed one hip. Mick Jagger does not have two hips. He's got one fucking slinky ass hip, and eventually it's going to snap, and it's going to snap in front of 100,000 people, and they're going to cheer because they go, oh yeah, that's what he fucking meant to do that, clearly. Although he's so slinky, they might not break. You know what? He might be, what if there is, speaking of slinkies, he might have a slinky inside of him. He may not have a spine. Mick Jagger doesn't have a spine. I'm here to tell you right now. Folks, I'm breaking the news. Go, stop the presses. Do we still do that? Are there still newspapers that need this story? I think there are. Stop the presses. Mick Jagger does not have a spine. He has a slinky. A slinky. A slinky. A fun for a girl and a boy. But Dwayne Johnson becomes The Rock. He was The Rock in wrestling, and everybody knew him as The Rock. And he was so great. He was just sunglasses and a microphone and fucking brilliance, and he was so fucking beautiful. And then he shaves his head and bulks up in an unbelievably strange way. Like he just looks, he has the skin pallor of a chocolate Easter bunny. Like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, he doesn't look like a guy. He looks like wax to a certain extent. And so when I should say cheap chocolate Easter bunny, by the way, because there are, I don't want to impugn the great and wonderful people over at Hershey's, because I'm sure they make a lovely product. They sponsored the show, as you know, they sponsored it for years and years. The Hershey's people are on board with this show. They're riding the Schmidt train right into the fucking side of a chocolate mountain. But they make a wonderful Hershey's rabbit that's kind of dark complected, and it looks lovely, and you totally want to bite it. And I don't know if that's a great message to send to people. Hey, that's dark. Let's bite it. It's probably a bad thing. Heads on the streets or whatever the fuck, some child in a dentist's office is going to look over and see some sort of orderly who may be of a different persuasion and go, I got to chomp the shit out of that. Looks like a fucking rabbit. Not a rabbit. I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but I think The Rock should not have changed his name from The Rock to Dwayne. I think Dwayne is just a silly, ridiculous nonsense type of name. And I, you know what? I'll tell him to his fucking face. Send him over. But do me a favor. If you send him over, tell him that I'm an old lady who needs a truck, because there is nothing that gets The Rock's attention more than someone who needs a truck. He decided that was a good thing. Now, look, I should say this. I'm not shitting on his charitable concerns. The fact that he's doing these wonderful things is good, if not great. But I don't know. You lose some credit points for giving someone a truck when you film it for Instagram and you post, hey, look, I just gave somebody a truck, right? Doesn't that make you look like you're doing it for you more than them, kind of? You don't agree?
No.
I see.
I just want to know where your truck is and my truck is.
Come on, Dwayne.
Dwayne, I need a truck.
The Rock would have given us trucks. The Rock would have absolutely, he would have stepped up and he would have said, he would have fucking taken finally, The Rock has come back to give trucks to Mike and Lily because they deserve it. Instead, now it's fucking Dwayne. I don't know when I've done a faster 180 on a guy because I loved him. I fucking loved The Rock, and I actually loved Dwayne for a while. I mean, I was into it, but then all of a sudden it got fucking weird. Like he became a conglomerate, like he became a corporation instead of just being the cool ass Rock. Like, you know, there's nothing wrong with being
Rock.
When you're the cool ass Rock, that's fucking beautiful, man. And you're fucking getting it done, and you're showing yourself working out, and you got the Iron Palace that you bring to and from each movie. We've talked about it a million times on this show. I'm fascinated by that. The fact that the guy's got, like, you know how bands tour? He has that, but with gym equipment. Like he doesn't have a drum riser and lights. No, he has fucking semi trucks that go to wherever the set is. This is not a joke. You think I'm kidding? He has semi trucks that go to where he's filming a movie, and they set up the Iron Palace, and it's a big fucking gym because that's what he needs to work out in. Because look at that fucking guy. What do you think he's going to LA Fitness? He's not fucking doing that. That dude brings the gym with him in semi trucks. He gets a semi. I keep calling them semi trucks. He gets Jerry Reed and a dog to fucking drive this fucking gym to and from everywhere fucking city, wherever he's filming, for Christ's sake. I love the idea of the Iron Palace. Like when he did Jumanji, I love Jack Black going, "Hey man, can I get some lifting in with you tomorrow morning?" And The Rock is just like, "Sure, meet me in the Iron Palace at 5:05 a.m. and we'll eat a dozen eggs raw, and then we'll go ahead and hit leg day." And Jack Black is like, "Sorry, think not. I'll still be high at 5:05 a.m. for fuck's sake." Because Jack loves weed, from what I understand. And when I say well, it's just my observation. Look, nobody's told me. I have no inside connection to Jack Black or his weed preferences, his predilections for cannabis. But I'm telling you right now, one of the most disappointing performances I've ever seen in the history of television was Jack Black and Tenacious D. He and Kyle Gass, Tenacious D, were on David Letterman. And I'm like, this is perfect. It's the guy I've loved forever. And then he's having two new guys that I love now. They're promoting their movie, The Pick of Destiny. I was excited because their HBO show was amazing, and their fucking album was incredible. They're so funny and great. And then I've talked about this on here before too. I think, good Lord, is there any subject left unexamined in the history of this show? I don't think there is. So they came out, Kyle Gass and Jack Black, and they paneled before they did a song, and they were so fucking high. It was a crime. Like, I mean, I don't, on here, like, well, drugs are already a crime. No, I mean, even if weed was legal, they'd be like, you know what, man, we're actually going to repeal that because of you. Right now. Look at you. Just because of the way you're acting, we're throwing you and every other person who uses fucking weed in the smokes weed in the fucking jail, in the clink, right? Do you use weed?
I do.
So sure. I mean, because he came again, I talked about it before. He came out in a parka. Like, he sat on panel in a parka, and he's usually very dynamic and charming. He's super great. And he was Jack Black is, you can make a face all you want. That dude is dynamic and fucking charming. And he's funny. And dude, he sings his ass off. His voice is fucking incredible. I don't know if he's a tenor or what you want to call it, but he's so fucking good.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm not a Jack Black fan at all.
Do you hear these sirens?
No.
You still can't hear them?
No, I can't.
Well, they're coming to my house now because they think you're here and they're going to try to throw you in jail for this take. They hear you coming out of my speakers or whatever the fuck. They're like, hold on a second. We got to throw this woman into the jail that we just talked about with all the cannabis users because there's one cell reserved for somebody who doesn't like Jack Black because Jack Black is a fucking genius. I've loved Jack Black since fucking Bob Roberts. I saw him on there. He's just one of those dudes where everything he was in, I just go, holy fuck, this guy. I don't know who this is, but he's fucking amazing. And then the Tenacious D HBO show was, oh my God, it was so fucking good. And then the album came out, and then fucking movies and School of Rock. And also, I can tell you this, he can be a bit much.
Yeah.
You know, I imagine one person's, wow, check that dude out, he's fucking amazing, is another person's human ice cream headache. But at the time,
you just described him perfect for me.
Honestly,
you nailed it.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm proud of that because it just you know, because I like him, but I know if I didn't like him, that's exactly how I would describe him. It's like, dude, enough. What the hell, man?
Calm down.
Yeah, I know. I throttle it down, buddy. You got to. Do you have an internal temperature cord? Can you go ahead and cool that off somehow? Why are you always running this hot? You shouldn't be running this hot. And yet, then I see him on Letterman, and the battery's been removed from his vehicle, and I'm like, oh man, why aren't you running hot? You're the hot running guy. I love when you run hot. It's fucking amazing.
I smoked pot in high school. There comes a point where it makes you laugh, and it makes you funny, and it makes you feel really good, and then you become not a good rock, just a rock. You just sit there and you're like, uh-huh.
You're
and
just a nerd.
Yeah. He has two speeds.
Well, he had no speed that night at Letterman. I wish it had some speed, quite frankly.
Roaring and off. That's it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, And so on that show, I was just like, oh man, what a bummer. And for some reason, it made me look at him differently, even going forward in this weird way. But I dig him. I mean, I still love him. And again, the idea of him showing up for leg day with The Rock is fucking hysterical. Although I would have a much better time in imagining him having leg day with Dwayne Johnson. That I could totally see.
That's their next movie.
Has there ever been leg day with Dwayne Johnson? Has there ever been a bigger flip in cool name or being addressed as somebody? I don't think there has been. That's just fucking. It's crazy. It's like if Axl Rose has changed his name to Larry. You know what I mean? You just be like, oh man, what the fuck happened to Axl? I like Axl. No, this is Larry Rose. He's terrific. You're gonna watch him. He's gonna be amazing.
Hey, but again, nobody named him The Rock. He wasn't born The Rock and then went, I think I'll be a dweeb now. I mean, he was Dwayne Johnson and he created The Rock.
Well, all right, because you clearly don't know the backstory.
Oh my God.
He initially was Rocky Maivia because that's who they named him as in wrestling because his dad was Rocky Johnson. So he was a chip off the old Rocky Johnson, and that's why he became Rocky Maivia. And then he wasn't getting over at all in wrestling. Like they hated him because he was like shoved down people's throats. He was this legacy wrestler and he had no real charisma because he was trying to fit a role. And then when he finally allowed himself to kind of fucking become this new character, he led up the Nation of Domination, which was this fucking like Black Panthers wrestling faction, which was ridiculous. And then he started to get on the microphone and unleash his charisma. And everybody was like, who the fuck is that? We were booing the shit out of this guy and he's awesome. And then he became The Rock.
But again, he created The Rock.
Yes,
he's always been Dwayne. He's just Dwayne from the block.
No, The Rock is him. Because again, wrestling promotions and wrestling always is better when your character is you amplified. That's what it is. It's not unlike podcasting, where when you take a normal, mild-mannered gentleman and you open him up a microphone and then all of a sudden he's talking about things that he's never talked about before and he's talking about them very well. You're like, oh my goodness, podcasting Mike is so much different than normal Mike. Even though that's
by the way, I never call you Mike. I always call you Schmitty.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know why.
You're one of the few women in my life who's ever done that because most women, as I've mentioned, well, certainly the women I've been involved with have called me Michael, like almost all of them.
Well, I don't treat you like the stripper that took me home.
Whoa, hold on a second.
Because you're Schmidt on the podcast, but when you meet the behind the Schmidt, it's Michael.
Oh, these are lies. All of these are complete
They met
lies.
you and they're like, so what's your real name?
Yeah, and then they left. Once they saw behind that curtain, they went, I got to get the fuck out of here. I liked this guy earlier. Where's podcast guy? This scramble head, we got no interest in fucking engaging him at all.
You'll always be Schmitty to me.
Which is nothing. There's nothing wrong with that, and I appreciate that. And when
I'm angry, you're Schmidt. Have you noticed that?
I did. You just
Schmidt?
did it earlier. You did Schmidt? It earlier today. Yes.
I wasn't angry.
I see. Sometimes I'm Schmitty for some.
Schmitty.
I'll get the double Schmitty. Yeah. But The Rock created The Rock out of of course, yes, he was Dwayne Johnson as a child, whatever the fuck. And it's funny, you talk about Everybody Loves Chris. There is was that off the air? Did we mention Everybody Loves Chris?
It was off the air. We were talking about Everybody Loves Chris.
Well, Dwayne Johnson there's a show about his childhood now, whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Is it called Pebble?
It might as well be. Look at you making yourself laugh with nonsense.
He's Pebbles.
Well, as we all know, first of all, the writers went on strike yesterday, so whatever they come up with is going to be right around that level.
Thanks.
Sure.
Thanks. I can get a job writing now, except I'm not a scab. I don't cross picket lines.
Well, and you shouldn't. Nobody should, quite frankly. And I don't want to delve too deep into this because I'm certainly not in the union. I'm not a writer. I mean, I've been a writer on shows in the past, and I like to consider myself someone I'm someone who has the capability to write. I don't know if I can write scripts, but I mean, I can certainly spin yarns and talk and be funny or whatever the fuck. So I consider myself a creator. I don't know if you would call that a writer or whatever the fuck.
You're right.
But I'm regardless of what I am, I'm someone who has an incredible respect for the act or the art or the talent of writing, and they need to go on strike, and they need to, and I hope they can hold the line for
And
as
I
long
hope
as they
everybody
possibly can.
backs them. I hope everybody else walks off too.
Well, it's funny you would mention. Well, first of all, yes, I agree. I think SAG should absolutely strike in solidarity. The DGA should as well, but I can't get into the DGA because who knows what the fuck those people are thinking. But also at the same time, it's funny. You're like, everybody should back them. I can tell you from and again, this isn't real life, but from just a cursory reading of social media, no, real people, just like they did with athletes, and they do every time an athlete needs more money. They all pretend that writers aren't good and shouldn't be paid anything ever again. And I talked about this during the pandemic when people got a little stupid. People in one breath will criticize writers and laugh at them and go, "Oh yeah, you're not, whatever you get isn't enough. Okay, whatever. I drive a forklift. Why the fuck should you get fucking paid all this fucking money?" And it's like, well, here's the main difference. When a writer gets off work, he does not go home and drive a forklift for fun.
Yeah.
When you get off forklifting job, what do you do when you go home for fun? Do you watch television? Do you go to movies? Do you consume art or read or anything? Then guess what? Guess fucking what? They have a job. It's not any different than your job. It's just, they're toiling away and using their skills to go ahead and create things that help people get through their lives. You drive a fucking machine that puts fucking soap on a shelf. Nothing wrong with it. And I'm just saying, it's just when people, they start dividing people by going, real people should hear all the money that the writers make and be against them. And it's like, dude, but also, again, nobody watches you do your forklift. There'll be millions of people watching the work of these writers.
But I'm going to go out and I'm going to say something. Without the forklift people, we don't have the stuff that we need to make the movies that people watch. Because it won't get from one place to the other without the transportation. Whenever somebody says so-and-so shouldn't make so much money because I make this, I'm literally like, it's not a competition. Everybody should be making money.
Yes.
Period. That is that. Oh God, communism. I'll stop.
Don't. Yeah. I was literally going to go, don't go off.
But the point is,
I don't want to hear it.
We don't have to make one person feel bad to make another person feel better.
That's
and we
my
don't
point.
have to be mad that somebody else is getting something that we don't necessarily have. We should all have these things.
Yes, you feel that way and I feel that way. But what I'm saying is the general, but
that's what I counter with every time. I'm like, then don't watch TV.
Well, I don't
then
counter
don't
with
buy
anything.
stuff. Then don't whatever. Well, I know what you're saying.
That's what I'm just saying. Seeing the sea change in people when, like, everybody loves, we love shows, we love Succession, we love all this, blah, 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 blah. And then the writers go on strike and literally guys like, well, it's about fucking time. Maybe we'll get some good writers in there to write some good shows. Like all these. And I'm like, what the fuck how did you flip that switch? Like there's, don't you like things? But again, because, and whatever, I don't want to get
Nobody likes anything. We're all cranky old people.
Nobody does like anything, or they like it until it does the thing they don't like. The
Rock changing his name to Dwayne.
Exactly. What the fuck,
that
man?
guy.
Who does he think he is? You had it fucking built in. You're the goddamn Rock. And also, you can be. I'm sure he probably was like, "Oh, I can't be a serious actor named The Rock." I think it's even better if you're a serious actor named The Rock. There's a dude out there named Mako. He's in movies all the time. I see his name in the fucking credits, and I'm always like, "That guy's fucking awesome." I don't know who he is, but good for Mako.
I think you're reading that wrong. He's the guy that paints all the cars.
No.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's AACO. Okay, all right, there you go. I'm sorry. I lost it there for just a second. I'm thinking Japanese actors, and you're trying to get me a fucking double coat paint job. But there's if you were The Rock and you starred in fucking Schindler's List, that'd be fucking amazing. Well, all right, hold on.
No, I don't think it is.
But actually, no, I go you know what? Have Tarantino remake Schindler's List, but have fucking The Rock in it and see how it ends. It'll be a completely different fucking ending. I'll tell you that.
Oh my gosh.
He'll just fucking, you think Hans Landa had it bad in fucking Inglourious Bastards. What's The Rock going to wind up doing to those assholes? Fucking just goes to work. Just drops a fucking elbow off somebody from a fucking guard tower. I love it. Clean up these camps, Rock. If you give away being The Rock, all right, if you become Dwayne Johnson, what is to keep someone from taking up that mantle as The Rock and then just doing things as The Rock? There should be somebody out there now who's plotting and planning and going, watch this. And they should find a guy who looks like him and cast him in movies and name him The Rock. And he'd be like, I'm the fucking Rock. They'd be like, nah, shut up, Dwayne. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to want to fucking talk to that guy because we got a new Rock. There's a new Rock on the scene, baby. Fucking Gibraltar showed up to kick somebody's ass. He was The Rock and he was fine. And then he was Dwayne and he was fine. Again, the Iron Palace, which I talked about. I enjoyed seeing that. I followed it on Instagram. And I'm in my brain, I'm like, this might be the most charismatic person I've ever seen in my life. He's compelling. When you see him and he talks, you're like, what the fuck? But then he like diversified and tried to be all things kind of to all people where, you know, he made kids movies and which is fine, good for him. But then also he started giving shit away on Instagram. But then he signed with Under Armour and he made a fucking clothing workout line. And then he signed with the UFC and everybody who writes in the UFC has to wear his shoes like to the ring. And you're just like, why would anybody look, first of all, why are you starting a shoe company? If you there's already fucking Nike and Adidas and Converse and Skechers and I think Nike even owns Converse, I think, if I remember correctly. We're done. We're done with shoe people. There's fucking Jimmy Choo's, those are done, and then Tom McCann, I think he's still out there doing some dumb shit, and it's we're done with shoes. You don't need to invent shoes. Every time I get an ad on Instagram for those fucking Allbirds or whatever the fuck they are, you ever see those? It's literally just like, hey, are you looking for the shoes that will take you to the grave? Here are Allbirds, you old fuck. Like, literally, that's all I see when I see them. It's like I think they don't have laces or they're only Velcro, and they're the kind of shoes that the Heaven's Gate cult would make if the Nike store was closed. You know what I mean? It's like they're just so fucking awful. They're just so, hey, old man, are you ready to die? Slip your feet into these comfortable Allbirds. You know what I mean? Hey, if your dogs have had a run of it over the past 70 years, well, let them swaddle them now in the comfort of this knockoff clothing sewn together by children in Vietnam. Why don't we do it? Let's fucking take care of your fucking feet right now with these nondescript, ugly fucking shoes. And now there's another one too, like fucking Hoka? Is that it? Hoda? Maybe it could be hold the door. What that fucking idiot from Game of Thrones? Yeah, they've invented shoes now too, and they're just hideous looking. There's no fucking point. If you're gonna make shoes, because everybody makes shoes. There's a million shoes that a bunch of people have. All right, if you're gonna make new shoes, you got to go completely. You can't make something that's almost like the other shoes. You got to go way off the beaten path. And here's where I advocate for some company to step up and make the cruel shoes. That's what I say. Because then now you're cooking with cruel gas. Now you're making something that people don't have the chance to fucking grab. Now you're making something that's completely new to the human experience. And people can read the story and decide whether or not they want to purchase the cruel shoes. Why wouldn't you do so? The Rock started to do these like fucking things on Instagram, these inspirational, and like he would put up his cheat meals and stuff or the food that he ate. And I was like, that shit fascinates me because any guys who bulk up or fucking bodybuilder dudes, I always want to see what they consume. And then he'd put up his cheat day, and his cheat day would always be like 5 sushi rolls and a stack of pancakes and these fucking chocolate chip cookies. Like, not kidding. He would eat that on a Sunday night. He would eat that sitting in front of his laptop.
True.
Completely true. I don't know if he does it anymore because I stopped following him because I got tired of fucking him telling me to buy his shoes. Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, look, if Michael Jordan wants me to buy his shoes, that's fine. You know why? Because he's a shoe guy. And also he's been known for doing his best work in his shoes. I don't think The Rock does his best work in The Rock shoes. Seems ridiculous. You're pondering. What are you pondering?
Have you tried the shoes? Do you know?
Never.
Maybe
No.
he was a hidden shoe guy this whole time.
Then you know what? Then pivot and get away from being the actor then. Go be Dwayne Johnson's shoe executive. Put on a fucking suit. Stop bulking up. Just fucking walk around. Have one of those, that luggage that you pull the fucking, like the extendable handle on and walk around like a pharmaceutical rep. And just go to fucking shoe stores and go, hi, I used to be The Rock and now I'm Dwayne and here's my new shoe. And everything like, because you know what? I got to be honest. If you were going to pivot to be a shoe salesman, definitely change your name from The Rock to Dwayne. I would not buy shoes from The Rock. If The Rock showed up and was like, hey, finally, I've now brought you my new shoes, I'd be like, I don't want any fucking shoes from The Rock. Unless they're your special ass kicking shoes. If they're those, then I'll purchase them instantly. But then if you're Dwayne selling shoes, because honestly, you know what? Dwayne's of the world, that's who you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be selling shoes. You don't invent the shoes, but you are If your name is Dwayne, you're automatically a shoe salesman. That's just the fucking bottom line. So I totally get that. Maybe this makes complete sense. Maybe it was destiny all along. Not the pick of destiny, as we know you'll fucking get too high and wear a parka and forget to fucking grab. I'm playing hurt today, by the way. Did I mention that? I'm playing hurt for this broadcast.
How are you hurt?
Well, I'm hurt in a couple of ways. Two, well, first of all, one, I was walking in the dark, as I often do. I stumble around in the dark because I know where everything is in my house. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know me, when I go to your house, I don't like lights on. I turn all of the lights off the second I walk in. I might have one light on. So then, but at night when I go to bed, occasionally, which is not bullshit, I do it every night. I turn all the lights off and then I go to walk to my bedroom. Now my bike, shut up everybody. My bike is parked on the way to my bedroom. And so the other day I zigged when I should have zagged, and I buried my foot directly into the front tire of my bike, and I was barefoot, and I tore off a toenail, which was never good or fun. Yeah, no kidding. And when I say tore it off, it's not completely off. So now like it's my left foot, and it's the little piggy who went to market. Is it him? Who went to market? Big Toe? Big Toe went to market. This little piggy went to market.
This little piggy went to market. This little piggy stayed home. This little piggy had roast beef. This little piggy had none. This little piggy...
The little piggy with none.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one who got at the end, he got his lid ripped off, which is unfortunate. Ooh. But like I said, it's not completely off. So now my toe is a Zippo lighter. Like it just has that thing that flips up and down. You know what I mean? And I like, part of me is like, well, just take it off. I mean, just fucking tear it off. But I know now, because again, I'm 55. Like in the old days, I just tear it off. Be like, who fucking cares? New toenail coming in, inbound, and I just rip it off and throw it away. But now I'm sure I'm going to get some sort of gangrenous disease because I'm 55 and I've got old blood. So some weird shit's going to happen if I expose my nail bed, and then there'll be like one of those Lamisil monsters will actually come to life and attack me in my fucking sleep. You know what I mean? Like I can't.
I forgot about them.
I can't take the fucking chance. I can't take the chance. I take it off the fucking. Now I got a Zippo lighter, fucking, for a toe, which is a drag. But because also, I don't wear any socks around my house. All right, here's my logic. You know me. I don't like being barefoot. I hate it. But I also don't wear shoes in my house. So if I'm not going to wear shoes, I don't need to wear socks in my house. I have slippers if I need to go ahead and show. Are you wearing socks? Are you going to put a barefoot up to the camera? Oh, you're wearing socks. Like, well, it's totally fine.
Always.
Well, all right, but here's why. All right, but you're going to laugh at me. I have to pay for my laundry. So if I wear a bunch of pairs of fucking socks, I got to I got to wash my laundry that much quicker. And I got to, you know what I mean? It's if I go somewhere.
Yes. Like
I've been going over to my buddy Paul's to watch hockey. Then I will don socks, of course, socks and shoes, clearly. But normally in normal life, there's no reason. Like I said, I'm never seeing anybody. I'm trapped in my apartment. Why would I go and why would I put socks on? There's no reason.
Yeah.
But if I were to see people, of course, I'm covering them up. Nobody wants to see that nonsense. Fucking toe with a mouth. That's fucking disgusting. Nobody wants to check that out. So I don't wear socks because of that reason. So that's why when I jammed my foot and I tore the nail off, and why the fuck was I even telling you that I don't wear socks? Oh, because now when I put on socks, when I go somewhere, I have to hold down like the toenail as I slip the sock over so it doesn't get pulled back by the sock getting pulled at it's so fucking ridiculous. And I know you're just like, because I'm waiting for it to fall off. All right.
Yeah.
And which point I will then put it under my pillow, and I can't wait to see what the toe fairy will bring me. I'm very excited to see what happens. I don't know. You know what it is? It's going to be a pair of Daybirds. It's going to be those fancy shoes. They're going to bring me one of those. That's why they're giving away for free. Old people, once your body starts falling apart, you're like, oh no, my thumb. Oh Christ. Oh, my angina. And then you go to sleep, you put your angina under the pillow. Hey, here's some comfortable shoes for you to walk to the grave with. Unbelievable. It's bad enough because, and you know, the New Balance people have got to be pissed because they're like, hey, we were the grave walkers. What the fuck is your issue? Why are you trying to step up on us? Daybirds trying to steal our fucking niche. We're the fucking grave walkers, right? New Balance is the one that takes you to the grave usually. Once you age out of Nikes and stuff, you're supposed to go to the New Balances, I believe. That's the hierarchy of the shoe, which is the new Indiana Jones movie that's coming out this summer. Go ahead and check it out. Indiana Jones and the hierarchy of the shoe. It's fantastic. Can you believe that that's coming out? Like they talked about the trailer for that.
Wait, what?
There's a new Indiana Jones movie coming out.
It's not.
There
Stop it.
is. Well, here's the deal. It's like not even like the last one, because I think it's the last one with Harrison Ford. Because
He's still alive, right?
This is the weird thing. He is so old that the nickname is obsolete, because when the first movie came out, Indiana wasn't a state. So I don't know. I don't know how they're doing this, why they're yanking him out and putting him back in. You know what? I've had a lot of crazy thoughts in my life, and never once did I think, hey, let's give an old man a whip. Like never once did I think to myself that was a good idea. I never came across and thought, hey, let's do that. Let's throw an 85-year-old man in a fucking fedora or whatever the fuck it is and give him a whip and see what happens. No, nothing good is going to happen. And I'll be there the first fucking day. I can't wait. But I don't even, and I will tell you this, it's going to be very, very disconcerting, because the first time I hear the whip crack, I'm going to have to make sure it's not a hip. So he's an old man is what I'm telling you folks. Jagger and Harrison Ford, their hips are going up like fucking fireworks on the 4th of July, man. 21 hip salute when you go ahead and check out this fucking movie from all the old people going, yeah, ow, Indy. I hope Karen Allen's in it. I like Karen Allen. Did she come back for the last one? I think she did, right?
I think so.
That last one I need to see again, because I saw it at the theater and I remember hating it. Because it was Indiana Jones and the Crystal Palace or whatever the fuck, which is because he was trying to find a soccer team in England. No, the Crystal, it's something Skull. It's Crystal Skull. That's it. Indiana. You know, now he's now Indianapolis Jones. He's so old. Indianapolis Jones. Stupid. Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull was the last one. And I think Cate Blanchett's in that one too. And she plays a Nazi. I watched a movie. I'll tell you this.
He plays a Nazi.
But you know what's weird? Like, Nazi used to be the drop dead terrible thing. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
Like, not if you were a Nazi in movies. If you were a Nazi in the movies, everybody was like, well, that's the bad guy. Clearly, he's the bad guy. And then you pivot to like real life now, and you're just kind of like, they're finding every euphemism they possibly can to not be a Nazi. Oh no, I'm a nationalist. I'm a white
Nazi.
nationalist. I'm this, I'm that. And it's fucking outrageous. Again, Nazi used to be the bomb. It was the nuclear fucking blast. Yep. And I don't know if it's because discourse and online and all that bullshit, because there are people who are like, you know, someone's like, I like Rice Krispies. They're like, you Nazi? They're like, what? Hold on, what? Didn't you know that Hitler liked Rice Krispies? You are a total Nazi. It's like, you know what I mean? Everybody's found a way to cheapen it as an insult. So yeah. I'm wondering if that's why it's lost its fucking impact. But I literally just watched 2 movies this week. I watched a movie called Inside Man with I can't believe I didn't see it, by the way, because it had a cast that's fucking ridiculous. And it's made by Spike Lee. So I'm like, how the fuck did I not watch this movie? It just kind of flew under my radar and I never got to see it. Inside Man stars Clive Owen, whom you know and love from Children of Men and Croupier, and from fucking Shoot 'Em Up. But let's talk about that for just a second. If you like John Wick, and who among you doesn't? There's John Wick. If you've seen John Wick 4, did I talk about John Wick 4 in here? I don't know if I did.
No.
I saw the 4th John Wick. It's 3 hours long. Okay.
Yeah. So
the first John Wick is fucking lean and clean and fucking brilliant. And then it builds this universe where like the second one is kind of like is their empire, I believe. And, you know, whatever. It's almost like a Star Wars, the way it runs their sequels. So the 4th one, I heard it was 3 hours. I was kind of like, fuck, you know, I don't know what we're doing here, because you can only see, I don't know if there's enough people in the world to fill a 3-hour shoot 'em up. Like, I mean, it's just how many people are going to die in this fucking thing, right? And also the thing with the John Wick movies, and I love them, but when you do too much of that stuff in these set pieces, you can see the machinations of how they put it together.
Yeah.
You can see the stunt becoming the stunt before your very eyes, because you'll see a guy pause, move, flip, shot in the head, boom. It's a ballet, and you're starting to anticipate the moves. You're like, okay, there's the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got a real music type 1, 2, 3, 4. Grab, throw, shoot, move. Grab, throw, shoot, kick. Grab, throw. It's the only thing missing in John Wick is jazz hands. It's essentially a musical with bullets. It's a bullet musical. That's what it is. It's like it's all these people doing complex dance moves, but with guns and murder. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing that someone finally went, what if we did this? What if Singing in the Rain had Uzis? You know what I mean? It's like, it's fucking good. I mean, it makes complete fucking sense. So the only problem is when they do too many of it, when you do too many of those and you see them, you start to parse them and you go, oh, okay, I see what we're doing here. And that's how I felt 3 had a lot of that. It kind of, it was good, but it wasn't as good as 1 and 2. It still kind of laid, it was like, I was like, okay, I see what we're doing here. And you never want to say, I see what we're doing here. You know what I mean? Because then it takes you out of the franchise and what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be immersing yourself in this crazy world. And anytime you can see it happen, if you can read the sheet music, it takes you out of it.
I'm trying to remember the plot line of the third one. I remember the first one. I remember the second one. I think I've seen the third one, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil.
Sad.
Yeah,
that's sad. I'm like, I literally cannot. It's like
Sure.
Die Hardest or whatever the third one was there too. Couldn't tell you what it was about.
You know, it's funny. I absolutely know what the third one is because it's of Die Hard.
Yeah,
Right, it's because it's the one with Samuel L. Jackson, and he wears
that's
this,
right.
and he wears the sandwich board with the N-word on it in the middle of fucking Harlem. It's one of the things he has to do. The fourth one is where it gets tricky because that's where Timothy Olyphant is in a mobile fucking command base, and he's changing traffic lights all through Los Angeles or some shit. It's like, it's wild. Like that's where you're like, all right, I don't know what's going on here.
I think I bailed on 4 then.
It might, maybe, probably. Well, did you see? Then you didn't see 5.
There's a 5th.
There was, and it's him and his son.
Is it like Die the Hardest?
I think it is called Die Hardest. I'm not
or
even
Die
joking.
Another Day? Die Again?
Different franchise. Die Another Day, completely different franchise, different hero.
It's all the same.
Different
it's all
IP.
the same.
James Bond is not John McClane, and I'll not hear you sully either of their names right now. God damn you. Not the same. A lot of Johns, a lot of John Wick, a lot of John McClane, little John Bond.
My dad's name was John.
Did he shoot anybody?
Not that I know of, but hell, I don't know.
Not with a gun, anyway.
He was very gangsta.
Yeah. Wow, a double beverage, that doesn't happen often. So I see the fourth one, and I'm worried because it's almost 3 hours. It's like 2 hours and 52 minutes or whatever. And I will tell you, I'm going to tell you this right now, dude. They fucking crushed it. It doesn't seem like 3 hours. It fucking flies by. There's a point, and this says something to me in my internal timing, but and there's a point in the movie where I hadn't looked at my watch or my phone or anything. I didn't care at all. And then finally, I just was curious because we'd seen a bunch of different set pieces, and all of a sudden we were we started to kind of enter an end game phase. And I was like, I'll bet we're about an hour and 45 minutes in. And I'm not joking you. I was exactly right. I was not exactly. I was off by 2 minutes, but still there was an hour left in the film. And I was like, yes, because it's just that internal clock I had where I was like, yeah, okay, I'll bet. And I was giving it, but it didn't seem like that. It wasn't like I was like, oh my God, I bet we're an hour and 45 in. I was like, no, I almost you could have done more with what they had. I mean, it's just, look, if you tell me, hey, we're making a movie, okay, and Clancy Brown is going to just show up everywhere and whisper to people about weapons and fucking locations. How do you not? How do you you don't even need John Wick in that movie, for fuck's sake. And they've got any number of SARS guards that they can fucking pull in out and make the villain.
And everything.
Well, they get he's got a SARS guard in this movie, and it's the kid from Barbarian who was also the clown in It.
Yeah.
He's Pennywise in It. And let's just cut right to the chase here. He's fucking beautiful. He is just a walking Nordic cock. And you're like, look at this fucking guy, man. Holy God. He's like, because look, Keanu's a really good looking dude. and he's just Keanu. It's filled with his Keanu-ness where you're like, that guy's fucking awesome and hot. But this Skarsgård, he's like a sexy ice tray. You're just like, what the fuck is with this guy? Yeah, the cut of the face.
Oof.
Yeah, cheekbones that could fucking
So
just
pretty.
slice you in half, and just looks like he was created in a lab. You know what I mean? Just absolutely fucking
there.
right.
They're ahead of us.
He's the first person I ever thought you could use as an exhibit on one of those shows where they have to say, is it real or is it cake? There's a chance that this Skarsgård is made of cake. I'm just telling you, when you see him, you're like, holy shit. There's something that's real, but also there's something that's eternally false about this fucking guy. I worry for him because I know at some point someone's just going to plunge a fork into him because they think that he's a dessert of some kind, because holy shit, is he incredibly good looking. And then the voice too. He's got a great voice. And I thought of this just yesterday. I watched Ocean's 11 again, which I love. It's one of my go-to. If I'm fucking hating everything, I'm like, all right, I'll look for something, and if it pops up, I'm watching it. And I'm not sure there was ever a more perfect example of man beauty than Clooney in that movie. He's so, and because again, he's next to Brad Pitt, and you're like, who's George Clooney's friend? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. And I, you know me, I would crawl through glass to tell Brad Pitt how great he is. I mean, I think he's the fucking hottest. But in that movie, because another thing with Clooney too, and look, I'm not telling any tales out of school or giving away any secrets. The voice, the fucking voice of Clooney is absolutely ridiculous. And there's a great, even in, because the movie opens and he comes to the parole board and he's got the fucking scrub, like the 3-day, 5-day beard, and he's in a prison jumpsuit, and you're like, I would fuck this. Then he gets released and he's wearing a tux because that's what he was wearing when he was arrested, and he's still got the scrub. And then the next shot is an escalator, and as it comes up, it's just his head. He's revealed, and he's now shaved and in like casual, like a jacket and a button shirt. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God. I mean, he's so unbelievably beautiful. It's crazy. And again, his voice is his voice. So when he opens his, and he's so, and look, you fight me if you want. He's really fucking cool. He's just so cool. And people are like, he's supposed to be cool in those movies because they're written for him to be cool. Well, yes, they give him in cool movies. Cool. You know who's not cool in those movies? The Rock. They're not putting Dwayne Johnson up later and shit. I mean, Dwayne Johnson, he's starting to look like the character from fucking Moana or whatever the fuck that movie is. With the fucking weird shaved head and shit. You're just like, he's so shiny. And like I said, he's just waxy and off. But Clooney is just, and it's funny because he has banter in this movie with Julia Roberts. And I'm not even a Julia Roberts guy, but every time she's on, I have to keep telling myself, people think she's incredibly beautiful and wonderful. Like there's something about her, and I just have never gotten it. And I'm not saying that's her fault. It's me. It's for me. She's not, I mean, in Pretty Woman, she's ridiculous. There's no doubt. She's very attractive and very girly and stuff like that. And Erin Brockovich does a really good job. I'm not saying she's untalented or not good. Just for me though, I'm like, you could have found a different type to be the be all end all woman in these movies. Like if you go to Out of Sight, if you watch Out of Sight with George Clooney and him and Jennifer Lopez, the bit in the trunk is incredible. But then the bit you've never seen Out of Sight?
I don't remember that.
It's Steven Soderbergh. It's a crime movie.
I remember the film, but I don't remember a scene in the trunk.
They get locked in a trunk together.
Oh, wait,
yes. Because there's a shootout. Yeah.
Yeah,
but because people forget that scene.
Yeah.
Well, they don't really forget it. That's a famous scene too. But they remember the hotel bar. Because when they meet in the hotel bar on the rooftop and they got the flirting and the talking and you're just like, and as a man, you watch it, and I've talked before about how you see a woman like Margot Robbie, and I'm like, I'm not even the same species as that person. Like I could offer her nothing in conversation or otherwise. There would be nothing. I'm literally just a rug or a welcome mat. Like she would have I'm an object. I'm a lamp, compared to Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
And then when you see Clooney in these movies, you think as a man, you can put yourself in that position where you're like, what would it have been like to be that ever? For 5 minutes, what would it have been like to be that effortlessly beautiful, cool, and charming? It's just, he robs a bank in, I believe it's Out of Sight. and he's with the teller, and he's talking this woman through it. And even then, like, the teller's nervous, but I'm sure in her mind, she's just like, if this guy wasn't robbing me, I would fuck the shit out of this guy right now. I mean, he just has that fucking vibe. It's incredible. And it's so, yeah. So I'm endlessly shocked whenever I see him and be so fucking beautiful and cool. So when I watched John Wick, it flew by. I normally, you think a 3-hour movie, you're like, well, this isn't going to fucking be the thing. And then no, it is absolutely the thing. And I don't want to give anything away, but there's a tribute, I guess I would say, to another movie. That is it. All right. I watched this movie, and when this started happening, I fucking cheered. And like at a baseball game, I was like, yeah, I was like so happy. And then it's not just a one-off, like it kind of keeps going. And I was like, whoever thought of this framework, I want to hug them, because it was just this moment that took I can't spoil. But it has, the final hour is framed in a way that another film was framed. That the second you see it, you go, oh man, like you if you know the other movie, the second this thing happens, you go, holy fuck. And then they play it all out. It's not just this weird, hey, remember that? It actually is part of the framework of the film, and it's glorious. I couldn't believe they did it, and I was so fucking excited. And again, it's because I don't want to spoil. All right, stop listening, because I want to say it, but I can't. The movie's been out for like 3 weeks now, right?
I'm not sure.
It has been. I can't spoil. I can't be that guy. But so we were talking, by the way, there's no Nazis in John Wick, and there's no Nazis in Ocean's 11. I watch other films that don't have Nazis.
I don't.
But I watched Inside Man, and it's Spike Lee, and it's Clive Owen, and it's Denzel Washington is the star. Mm-hmm. And then Chiwetel Ejiofor. I never know how to say his name. When I see it, I can say it, but I don't know what to say it off my top of my brain. Okafor, I'm not sure. He's Denzel's partner. Willem Dafoe. So it's Denzel Washington, Willem Dafoe, Clive Owen, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Christopher Plummer, and then in another person that look. I know my taste is different from yours. I don't need you to bust my balls. Nobody fucking kill me over this. But for my opinion, one of the most attractive and beautiful women alive today, or ever, quite frankly, Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster has, because we talk about a Julia Roberts, and I'm like, she's wonderful and people like her. For me, I'm just like, all right, that's cool. That's Julia Roberts. But Jodie Foster, I'm in. I don't know what it is. Maybe because she's so smart, and also she's incredibly beautiful. On top of that, I have been in love with Jodie Foster since I was 9 years old. She was in a movie called The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. Mm-hmm. And I saw it on the 3:30 movie in Chicago. And I remember being that little, like that small, and going and wanting to meet her. That's all I could think about was about meeting this person. And I was like, I would love, I don't know. And ever since then, every project I saw her in growing up, and then unfortunately Taxi Driver. But then, Silence of the Lambs, she's so beautiful in Silence of the Lambs, and she's so vulnerable and so perfect. And even with the brown hair, the blonde hair, it doesn't matter. And then Inside Man, she's this incredibly glamorous fixer.
Yeah.
And the second you see her when she talks, she just has this icy fucking charm where she's going to fucking take somebody out at the knees all the time. It's just, she's so good. She's so good. But in that movie, there's a big Nazi subplot. Like and the second it comes up that it could be Nazis, everyone's just like, you know what I mean? Where they know that that's the bad thing. That's the bad thing. The Nazi guy's the bad guy. Clearly, always. There's no doubt. Because it's like, if people knew this, this would be fucking terrible. And the same thing, I saw a movie called Sorcerer. Mm-hmm. Have you seen Sorcerer?
I don't know.
Folks, if you haven't seen it, it's William Friedkin directed it. And I watched the movie, and then here's what I do. I watch these movies, and then I read all about them when they're done. And I think to myself, all right, well, that's interesting because I like to get the backstory on all these things. So Sorcerer stars Roy Scheider. It was William Friedkin's follow-up to The Exorcist. Now, he had also done The French Connection. So he wins the Oscar for French Connection. He does The Exorcist. And then he does this third. He's coming off The Exorcist and French Connection. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. And it's the 70s. So fucking directors are the big swinging dicks. Like they get they call their shots. They make great movies and the studio fucking leaves them alone. So they leave him alone to make Sorcerer, and he wants Steve McQueen to be in it, but he doesn't get McQueen. Then he wants Nicholson. It goes through all this casting stuff. So he finally gets Scheider back, who he had worked with in French Connection. But Scheider, who had just done Jaws, is now a fucking huge star.
Yeah.
So on French Connection, he's taking orders from Friedkin. So now on fucking Sorcerer, he's kind of being an actor, and he's kind of putting his foot down on stuff and not wanting to do things. And Friedkin has trouble working with him. But even more amazing is if you watch Sorcerer, this is the follow-up to French Connection and The Exorcist from this guy, and Roy Scheider's, I think, first movie after Jaws. And there's no other stars in it.
Yeah.
There's some guy named Bruno Herman from Europe. There's another character who's got one name. I forget who it is. And it's filmed in Jerusalem and in fucking England and in fucking Portugal and Colombia. Like Friedkin could do whatever the fuck he wanted. And the story is a simple one. Again, it's very much like Jaws. These movies in the 70s follow this 2-hour template where it's a 2-hour long movie. And the first hour sets everything up, lets you know everything that's going to go on, what's going on. And then at the hour mark, now it's time to undertake the big task. Like in Jaws, all of this stuff lays the groundwork. And then right at 1 hour, they sail out on the orca to go find the shark.
Yeah.
So in Sorcerer, an hour's worth of stuff happens. And then at the hour mark, they have to take these 2 trucks across the jungle to deliver this dynamite. And it's a very famous movie because there's a very famous set piece in it where there's a bridge that the truck has to navigate, and it looks like it doesn't even look like a human could walk across it, and they have to drive these fucking 5-ton trucks over it. And it's every Oscar, whenever they show like a montage, the Oscars, and they're like, special effects are incredible. They'll literally get at least 2 seconds of the truck and Sorcerer trying to drive the bridge. But in that movie, there's Nazis because it's in this fucking podunk that's set up in this other country where these guys have to flee to. And the guy who owns the local bar was in the Third Reich. And one of the guys who's going to help with the trucks was a former Nazi commandant. And you're just, and again, everybody's just like, these fucking guys, like, again, they're the Nazis. They're the bad fucking guys. Everybody gives them, they still look at them askance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I see a clip from fucking Ohio the other day. And again, look, let me say this too. And it's probably going to come out wrong and whatever the fuck. If you're a Nazi now, all right, you should really study the old Nazis because they had a much larger viewpoint of what they were doing and bigger goals in mind than you could ever possibly have. Like, you look at the original Nazis, those guys, and they're like, what if we eradicated Jews from the planet? That's as fucking disgusting as it is. It's a goal, and a large one, and it requires them to actually have a plan of attack, and let's get some work done, right? We gotta, you can't just get 8 guys and a bullhorn and ruin the Jews. It's not gonna fucking happen. And so I think Nazis today have lost that sense of history and certainly lost all grasp of the big picture because in Ohio, there's fucking 12 Nazis with a bullhorn outside of a drag queen story hour. What are you doing? What is wrong with you? The other Nazis actually built camps and invented the air attack and the blitzkrieg and all of this shit. It's like, as repugnant as it is, at least they thought to themselves in a historical context, this is going to matter. Do you think what you're doing matters in any way at all because you wore your fancy red shirt and a mask and glasses so nobody could see your fucking face because that's how proud you are of shutting down, Ms. Razor Blades reading Hop on Pop to children in a corner tavern? What the fuck is your problem? What is wrong? These Nazis, do they think they have to start small? Is that what it is? These are you got to be honest with you, man. I never thought I would find the day that I was disappointed in less ambitious Nazis, but I have to say, quite frankly, that your lack of ambition stones me a little bit, because you guys should be thinking much larger.
Yeah.
And look, I'm sure you do when you start burning tires in a yard somewhere and talking amongst yourselves, because you think, hey, you know what? Well, first we'll buy the sharp red shirts. Then we'll get the "There Will Be Blood" banner made up. Then we'll make the bald guy talk into the megaphone. Then we'll shut down the drag queen story hour in our town. Then the Jews. I mean, is that it? Are these stepping stones of some kind? Because I got news for you, man. You ever see those fucking staircases in Brazil that like reach to the fucking heavens? You're not even at the bottom stair. You're still 10 miles away from that staircase, you fucking idiots. Ridiculous. And again, I don't understand. And you can talk about this with the fucking Confederate flag. You can talk about it with anything. Who looks at that and goes, yeah, remember those Confederate flag dudes? They wanted to keep people as property. Then they got their ass beat in a war. This is who I want to support. This is the winning side. Here's what I think. I think they lost that war on purpose so they can spend the next 145 years planning for the comeback that starts with me painting their flag on my front door. This is it. This is the step we take. I get this flag and I fly it from my goddamn car antenna, and sure enough, the South starts rising again. That's what I'm doing. Who embraces the Confederate flag and thinks that's the way to go? Who's like, yeah, you know what? Who looks at history? Who looks at the fucking Auschwitz? Who looks at fucking Dachau? Who looks at what happened? Who looks at Hitler, one ball, getting killed in a bathtub, whatever the fuck? Either he killed himself or Eva Braun did it. I don't know what the fuck happened. All I know is he died in a fucking hole in the ground. And that seems to be where all of these guys end up. Hussein, they find Saddam Hussein in a fucking hole in the ground. I love that you've really ruined things so badly on Earth you need to dig into it to try to hide. That's the kind of shit that a crab does. These guys are fucking human crabs. But these fucking guys, I don't know who reads the Nazis' history and sees not only what they did, but what happened to them. Not only what they did, but that the rest of the world went, oh, we got to fucking stop these guys. Literally, the rest of the world, except for fucking Japan and Germany, because they also had fucking wingnuts running around. But even Japan now is just like, look, we don't have to talk about that shit. All right, is it okay if we fucking just move on? Germany, however, and look, I don't know. Again, I'm talking out of my ass, but I know it's against the law to have a swastika or whatever the fuck, or even read about those dudes. And I know they've got their problems too with the groups like we have here. Which is why I don't understand anybody who sees the history that what happened, not only what the Nazis did, but also how they ended up, and thinks to themselves, you know what? This is the horse we got to back. Clearly, this is exactly you know what? I'm team swastika. Let's get on it. Let's fucking, you know what? Whoa. I think they've made, somebody's going to take that soundbite and use it against me. Yeah. Who among them thinks that that's the plan? Who among them thinks that this is what they should do? Yeah. I'm playing hurt today. I got a throbbing Zippo toe. And also I have cracks in my mouth, which is not good. I think it's just when the weather changes a little, like when winter becomes spring, becomes summer, I get, my mouth dries out. So my lips, they're not cracked and chapped or anything, but I will get in the corners of my mouth, these, like slits, I guess you would call them. Not to the extent that the Joker has them, clearly. Let me go ahead and talk about that. and his story is always changing. It's always that much better, but I can't imagine him ever adapting. You want to know how I got these scars? It's a weather thing. The weather changes. It's not a story worth telling, quite frankly. Anyway, where's Batman? You know what I mean? I can't. And by the way, I didn't even try to do a Joker voice there. Don't be like, your Joker voice was terrible, because I can't do the Joker voice. You know who does it? Well, you don't care. You know who did a really good Joker voice?
Who?
Your ex-husband.
Did he? He
could do Heath Ledger's voice like almost perfectly. He could talk like him. He could literally do that.
As the kids say, that tracks.
Speaking of tracks, that's what I have in my mouth right now. I've been shooting heroin into the corners. All right, fuck. Well, I'm glad you joined me. Thank you for this. So this is the late show. We were late this week So I was Lily was kind enough to join me, and we're going to bang this out. So you're going to be hearing this. This is what, Tuesday? We're recording on Tuesday. So
Yes.
this will be out tomorrow morning. This is coming out Wednesday. So this is last week's show.
This is last week's show.
This is last week's show this week. How about that? Go ahead and run with that. What did they do last week tonight? What isn't that? Isn't that what John Oliver does? Okay.
Yes.
So now we're doing last week this week. That's what this week's show
last
is.
week this week.
You got time for me to run through some plugs here real quick?
I do.
All right. You guys can get me at Mike and MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can be my friends at Facebook.com/the40year-old boy. You can follow me at Twitter.com/the40year-old boy. You can also find me at Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. I'm Mike40YOB. That's Mike40YOB. Who's my TikTok find this week? I told you I found the fried rice guy. And I liked watching him. There was some other new person that I found, and I was following them. Hold on, I'm going to look it up. In the midst of, I just said, you have time for plugs? I do. Well, then let me go ahead and look on my phone for some stuff and keep you here even longer. There's that. That's it. Yeah, I need Jeopardy music at this point. Oh, I found. You know what? I followed a guy. His name is Old Tender Man. Old Tender Man.
Tender or Tinder?
Tender. Tender. I hate the name because I don't like the word tender. You know what I hate? You know what I dislike worse than tender? Tendy. Whenever an adult says chicken tendies, I think we should bring back the flail. Seems extreme, probably, but nothing. If you ever say the word tendies, please know that I'm wishing someone would smash you in the face with a spiked ball on the end of a chain. We need some sort of medieval weapon to deal with the adults who say chicken tendies. That and yuck your yum. I literally typed out a tweet once and I just wrote, if you're someone over the age of 20 who says I don't want to yuck your yum, I will yuck the shit out of your yum by whatever. I don't know what I fucking said, something, but I deleted it. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm old. People will be fucking furious with me. All the yuck yum people will come for me. Oh my God. By the way, those are my pronouns.
No, they're not.
I identify as yuck yum. Sorry. Hack. I can't even believe I said that. Cut that out.
I love it.
Get the editors on board. I don't care if it's offensive. I just think it's hack because so many fucking people do that shit now. My fucking pronouns are not interested. Shut up. Drive off a cliff. My pronouns are your death. How about that? All right. So you guys can get me at Mike and MikeSchmidtComedy.com. I said that one already. You can find me all over the place. I got all sorts of channels. Now I said I'd be back on Twitch May 1st and, I wasn't, because
May 2nd?
Well, that's today. I hadn't done a podcast yet, so I didn't feel right doing Twitch. I'm so fucking bananas, dude. I am so fucking polluted. My head is just a fucking goddamn ant farm. All right. What a fucking, you know what? My brain is not, it's either just like a fucking hurricane, a maelstrom, or a bunch of shit is flying around and whatever the fuck happens, or it's one of those claw machines where you're hoping the claw will grab one thing, just reach in and then nothing. Oh, and then it lowers down. Oh, still missed. I am just dumping all the loose change I possibly can into my skull and it is not grabbing anything with the claw. But I have a Twitch channel. Did you know that? I have a Twitch channel, YouTube channel, youtube.com/the40year-old boy. Go ahead and become a follower to that. It doesn't cost you anything. That's totally free. Twitch is also totally free. If you follow me on there, you can subscribe for $5 a month, but I haven't been on in a couple months, so I don't know why the fuck you'd do that. Stop giving me money.
What? Don't say that.
Well, because I feel bad. I don't want fucking people to be like, dude, we support your Twitch channel, but you're never on there. That's the thing is I did it for 3 fucking years in a row and I was like, yay. And I love doing it. I do. But I feel stupid not doing it. If I do it to the podcast is the fucking base of the pyramid. All right. So please go to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/the40year-old boy and follow that. It's been so long. I don't even remember the address, but I think it is twitch.tv.com/the40year-old boy as I yawn into your microphone. And, I'm there. I've got a YouTube channel. I've got other, I think I'm actually doing other plugs besides this. So I don't know if I need to go too in depth in the plugs here. But I'll tell you, there's a Phlegmcat podcast you can support.
What?
Yeah, that's true. It's our good friend David Mex Hernandez. He does a Phlegmcat podcast. Be his friend at facebook.com/David Mex Hernandez and then follow his podcast. It's wonderful. He's got all sorts of stories about animals and golf. He actually so he never leaves his house. He actually flew to Florida to go golfing a couple weeks ago.
Of course he did.
I don't even know this guy anymore. I don't know what the fuck is happening. But good for him. So he went ahead and did that. And I guess that's really, I don't want to go too deep into it because I'm actually going to do a preamble before this with more plugs. I'm on Cameo. Did you know that? You can hire me at Cameo. Mother's Day's coming up. Don't you want me to talk to your mom? Bring your girlfriend. Bring your mom. I'll talk to both of them at the same time. I'll sit, let's have a summit meeting. Let's sit down, your girlfriend and your mom. And I'll start to explain to your mom why your girlfriend should be accepted into the family. And I'll explain to your girlfriend why your mom is such a fucking cunt. All right. Your mom's great. Please hire me for Cameo. Don't take that to think that I think that about your mom, because I don't. Your mom's fantastic. Your mom is wonderful. Anybody who's a mom is great. That's a lie. I just saw a story about a woman who put a dog in a garbage can. I don't know what that means in the case of a baby, but it doesn't matter. All right. So 40-year-old boy, Twitch channel, 40-year-old boy, Cameo. You can hire me for that. And then Mr. Toys Co-op. Never Not Funny. Me. Jen Kirkman, Doug Benson, Todd Glass, Danielle and Christine. And there you go. Check those shows out.
Woohoo!
Am I missing any other plugs? I don't know if I am. Fuck it. But it doesn't matter. Again, whatever plugs you didn't hear, you already heard in the preamble. Look at me. I've got all my bases covered.
Preamble.
That's what we did. We, the Schmidt, the people, in order to form a more perfect podcast. I actually know the preamble to the Constitution because of that song.
Me too.
I think we all do. Everybody
I love
does.
Schoolhouse Rock.
Provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and all right, secure the blessings of. All right, I apologize.
So,
I'm boring.
So, do you like Schoolhouse Rock better than The Rock, Dwayne The Rock?
Oh, now let me ask you this: what if he rebranded himself as Schoolhouse Rock? Actually, Dwayne Johnson is such a nerd name. He should have just gone with Schoolhouse Rock. Dwayne Johnson is essentially Schoolhouse Rock.
Dwayne the Schoolhouse Rock Johnson.
Exactly.
Stupid.
It's fantastic. Thank you for bringing a stupid ending to this. I appreciate it very much. And I appreciate you
started singing.
I love singing. All right. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye.
If there's anything I like more than me, it's people who like me. I love me, but if you love me, I love you. 'Cause you know why, we both love me. How great am I? Let's talk about that for a while. And by a while, I mean forever.
Trying to grab all the groceries in one trip? Oof, not how you would have done that. You know sometimes less is more. Like when you drive less and save with the USAA annual mileage discount. USAA. Get a quote today.